Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Very happy to have you here. It has been a bit of a hiatus. We got ourselves a band hammer. Nice. I feel privileged and part of the group now, Thundero. No longer
Yes,
a
sir.
pariah.
That's right. We
Mhm.
are now official members of the band group.
We are. We
Those
are.
who have been banned.
And it's definitely you and Denali's fault.
Yep,
I have all the blames on you
that's
guys. It's definitely your fault.
fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'll get into what that is. But first, of course, hit that like and share button so that everybody else knows we're on because we weren't last week. So they come on here and join us and we can have some fun. But do you know what we got banned for, Thundero? Would you like to guess? I know you know, but you
Mm,
can act like you don't.
I don't know. Tell me.
Oh, well, 5 years ago, 5 years ago, we were doing a show titled Child Celebrities. I think there
Uh-oh.
was a question mark after it. And we were really talking about the sad state of it and how so many of them end up ruined by it, really, is what we were talking about. And we had a little bit of TFT in that thing to connect to it. And it was talking about the gate that involves stuff that was from Italy that Americans turned into something better. Yes. But and 5 years later, all of a sudden, boom, we got hit. And now we all know that those quantum computers they have over there, at Google, which they have too, those things can scan the entire internet, the entirety of the internet in nanoseconds. So they're well
Yep.
aware of of that show, from the algorithm anyway, from day one. So I guess they had an update, and that somehow got caught. I don't know. What do you think?
Uh, who knows? Who knows with their algorithms? It's a silly thing to even make a problem. I mean, these people have become really retarded, in my opinion. Like
No,
it's
no, they have.
it's it's preposterous. You can't even have a conversation about a massive conspiracy theory because it triggers Google. They can't, and they don't like to be triggered. You see, they
Yeah.
don't like it.
Well, I put it in for review, which cost me an extra 3 days because it's supposed to be a week, but I guess I got 10-day ban instead because that's what it came out to be.
Oh boy.
Because I dared to challenge it, and they came back in 22 minutes, I think it was, and said we have reviewed your hour and 49-minute video and have deemed it to be evil. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, okay, sure you did. But it is what it is. But I'm actually surprised we ain't got hit sooner. To be fair, because they can destroy any channel they want anytime for any reason, right? They've
Yeah,
proven this.
literally. Yeah.
I'll have to look into, you know, I had heard that you can move a library over to Rumble, and
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to take me like a month to do. But I'm going to look into it and just set it up just so we don't lose it because there are over 2,100 videos on this channel. Just so you know.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. And so a lot of it is just us just spitting in the wind, not that big a deal really. But
Yep.
some of it does include some pretty cool reviews and interviews, and there's been a couple of series we did that were really good. And it would be a shame to see those go. And I don't know that I'm willing to dig through that mass of videos and try to find anything,
Right.
especially as clunky as YouTube is for doing such things.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, no, yeah, it is a lot of evil Alpha Proto, a lot. I think it's 2,165 or something like that. It's a stupid number, yeah. But we've been banging at this for what, 6 years now?
Yeah. Has it been? Holy cow.
2017, dude. When
When the
Ethan,
hell? Where the hell did time go?
I know. Well, Captain Cummins was 2016. Your boy Zach followed shortly after. Then Ethan started doing his thing. You were modding through
Yep.
Ethan. I was modding for Mike. second mod because Jiminy Cricket is the man.
Mhm.
And I just everyone said, Chester, you should put some videos on your channel, and I was like, I have a channel. Didn't realize everyone has a YouTube channel if you're on YouTube. So I was like, okay. So I went and found a bunch of moderators, including this guy. And I said, hey, moderators, let's have a chat about being moderators in our community. And off it went. And we've been
There it
at it ever
is.
since. Yeah. Yeah.
Off
But
and on.
well, I'm enjoying it. It's we have our very small little teeny channel in our little community, and that's all great. I love
Mm.
it. It gives me a chance to interact with the world and speak English mainly.
Hey, you chose to live in a place where they don't speak English.
Well, fair, but I've kind of always put myself in difficult positions. You know, the thing it's made always made me laugh these past few years, particularly because I don't know what happened. Someone went and told black people they were special. Shocking, I know, but
Yep.
they believed it, which is dumber than the statement. But nevertheless, and they think everything is being oppressive toward them. And I would love to sit down in a room of these oppressed blacks and other groups. It's not just them. It has the spectrum has broadened. Sit down in a room with them and compare. You know. The bigotry and prejudices that I've encountered in my life to theirs.
Mm.
I kind of wonder who would win that, that racism off or that bigotry off, because I kind of think I would, as I have a feeling a lot of them have never actually experienced any oppression at all.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm a dumbass, you see, and I've put myself in foreign countries the majority of my life.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and hate to tell you this, but when you're a foreigner in a foreign land, you are the lesser. Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I would be curious. I'll let you keep score, and no cheating.
Uh, what a horrible scoreboard.
I know, right? But anyway, we're back, and for as long as we're back, they must have had some update to their moral code that somehow that violated because, like I said, the algorithm has known about that video for years, right? And not
Yeah.
cared. And now all of a sudden it cared. Because, I mean, we might make some off color joke or have a little bit of vulgarity here or there, but we don't really get into deep, mean spirited conspiracy theory stuff here. We don't really do that. We often kind of have a laugh mock at them, to be honest with you, because they're fun. I personally think conspiracy theories are great fun. They're enjoyable. The problem is when you start believing them, and that's where trouble can come in, right? Because
Mm.
it's only a kernel of truth, really. Just like
Mm.
mythology and religion.
Mm.
I said that so the YouTube algorithm would think I'm a compatriot.
Oh no.
Oh no,
Oh no.
oh no. Hey, you heard Mel Gibson is making the resurrection of Christ?
Yeah, he's
Oh
been
wow.
doing that for a while.
Wow, yeah, no, he made so much money off of the death of JC that he bought a frickin' island.
He
Sweet,
did.
he did, man. And then he spent too much time on it. Okay, doke.
Uh,
But good for him, dude. And was it Robert Downey Jr. just got up and received some award for something or another and praised Mel Gibson? How dare he?
yes. Very recently I saw it. Yeah, I don't know what the award was, but yeah, basically it looked like Mel was presenting it to him and he was in the background behind him and the first little bit of his speech or a big part of it he praised Mel Gibson for basically saving his life.
Which probably he did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because Robert, this thing modern day people don't know about Robert. I mean, he was the young Hollywood actor that this channel got banned for. He was one of those
Yeah.
young child actors that got, well, teen, adolescent actor, that got pulled in, and boy, it screwed him up, dude. He was absolute mess. And I don't know what Mel did. I think we've talked about it a little before, but his life was saved and his career resurrected, dude. And good for him. I'm happy for Robert, but he
Yeah.
was he was in bad shape, dude. I mean, he was
Basically, what
Charlie
he told
Sheen
him
level,
is,
you know.
oh yeah, he was probably even worse. He was actually in jail. Uh, what he basically told him was, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be mine, but you need to find your faith. And that alone was like that, and a few other things was enough to help him get his stuff together. Basically, get off the drugs, or at least get him under control. Um, and just start take other people more seriously because he was a real selfish prick
Oh
back
yeah,
in the day.
yeah,
Countless stories of how ridiculously brutal he was to other people for no reason other than he didn't care about them. And that is a complete change in his character. Like he actually, people say people don't change. Well, most people don't. Some people do.
yeah.
And
It's true.
Robert Downey Jr. is a perfect example of it. He's a totally different guy as
Oh yeah,
far as like once you're one of his guys, once you're one of his people, he'll bend over backwards for you. He'll do
yeah,
just about anything he can
yeah.
to make
And
sure
you
you're in a better state.
you definitely want to be on a shoot with him because he
Yeah.
looks after the other actors and crew and stuff. Yeah, no, good on Mel for helping a fellow actor out, and good on Robert for turning himself around. But no, I do believe that Dave, just gonna help Dave out. He thinks that Mel is short for Melvin. No, it's short for mellifluous. I couldn't resist, and I apologize.
This guy.
Yeah.
But in Mel's defense, he said, your little snide comment about religion. He is a deeply religious Catholic man, deeply Christian man. His father was one of the most prolific Catholic writers of all time, actually, um, and especially of the last century. And that's why he makes the movies that he does. Largely, if you notice, many of them have heavy Christian thematics to them,
Oh yeah, that's right.
or based on
Most
very
things do.
Christian believers. So I think Mel is one of these guys who actually believes it deep down and he tries to live it because I've seen videos of Mel Gibson because he lives in Costa Rica now, Mel does. And I've seen videos of him down there just helping people. Like there's a video of him changing some guy's tire. He just pulled over and helped him change his tire. This is Mel Gibson, one of the most popular, famous men to ever live, one of the biggest stars of all
Mega
time.
wealthy too for a Hollywood
Yeah,
guy. He's pretty rich.
he just pulls over and helps a guy, and the guy starts filming it, and he goes, "Are you Mel Gibson?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then he notices the camera and kind of laughs at him. Um, it's that's just who he is. Mel's that kind of guy. So he's been maligned because he had a couple bad nights in his life, and he said some things he probably shouldn't have.
Well,
But
the first thing he said, I don't know that he's wrong. The second thing he said, I don't even know what it was. Something about the blacks, I guess.
yeah, something
Uh,
about the N words.
he was
Um,
drunk or some dumbassery.
he was very drunk, and his woman was basically leaving him or something. And he, lost his mind for a moment. It
Well, yeah,
said
but
some really,
wasn't she like cheating on him with a black dude or something like that? I mean, isn't that
I
the
think so,
I think
something
that
like
there
that.
was direct causation involved in it.
Yeah,
It's like Liam Neeson, his little spat with it is because what was his sister or cousin, or I don't think it was his daughter, some family member or friend of his who had been abused by a bunch of black dudes, and he went after him. It had
yep,
nothing to do with the blackness, right? It had to do with the dudes who were doing it,
yep,
right? So
yep.
I don't know. I have no clue. It doesn't matter
But
anyway.
regardless, the overarching point is Mel is a very, very good man. Uh, just as a man, he's very humble. He's not the type of guy to be, even though he's a big star and everything. It's
Yeah.
not. It hasn't. He's killed his own ego in a lot of ways. Because I've actually seen videos of him just talking about, about the Bible and Catholicism and Christianity in general, and he's just a dude. Like I've talked to men like him throughout my life. I went to church with men like him, He's just a guy trying to figure stuff out.
Mhm.
And he's very humble about it. He doesn't pretend like he knows more than anybody else. But there's a reason why he made the Passion of the Christ, and it wasn't just to make money. He did make a lot of money off of it, but that wasn't
But no,
why.
he wanted to
And there's
put
a
the
reason
statement
he's
out
going to
there.
make the sequel. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
good for
because
him.
he truly believes it,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and
I appreciate that wholeheartedly because I don't know if Christians understand this, how lucky they are to have Mel Gibson do it, but he's one of the best living directors.
oh, he is
Not
he's
only
good at
is he
what
a
he
great
does.
actor,
He is,
he is an unbelievable director.
but he is a little bit slow on the uptake. I mean, I figured it out decades ago. But
Yeah.
being raised by the Australians will have that kind of effect on you, I think. So, but yeah, and I might not carry a dogma, but I have no problem with the religious people existing amongst us. I respect their
Yeah.
opinions. You know that.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it, one of our I actually got a lot of very positive comments about that little mini series I did on the history of the Bible, and because we have a lot of Christians on this channel, right? And a lot of women too. Isn't that weird? But
Mhm.
and I put forward a very clinical look at the history of the Bible. Doesn't take anything away from the stories, but I mean, I did put a very clinical look, and people disagreed here or there, but it was all in fair debate,
Right.
which is nice. I appreciate that.
Here's always been my main argument, not even for Christianity, just for the idea of God. It doesn't matter if it's real. It only matters if it's real to you.
It's true.
And if it's something that's real to you and you believe it and it changes you for to be a better person, be a more noble person, to have virtue, then I don't give a shit if it's an actual physical thing. If people believe in Santa Claus and, makes them better, makes them behave, awesome. I don't
Yeah,
care.
no, there's value in
What
that.
the thing is that gets them there, as long as it gets them there, because the reality is the vast majority of people aren't going to get there on their own.
Right.
They're not smart enough, or they're not disciplined enough to do it, one or the other, or both. So they need something simple that
Hmm.
they can believe in,
Sure.
and something they can get, to get them to a moral place.
Yeah, and
And I
and
think Christianity is probably, I don't think probably, it definitely is the best moral compass the world has ever created
it does have a
as
solid
as
one,
an
especially
ideology.
now that we have separation in church and state to a point. It helped a
Yeah.
lot. But you also have to keep in mind that every culture on this planet has the same stories. And
Mhm.
this is why, like mentioned with your movie thing, there's cohesion among storytelling, no matter whether it's in China or South Africa or Brazil. It doesn't matter because we all have the same stories, and that's why there's a cohesion. And those stories are what formed our religion and our beliefs and things like that. Fair enough. Fair enough. And during that beautiful soliloquy, Alpha Proto said, "There are women here. Are they single?" Good
Some of
job,
them are.
Alpha. Good job, Alpha. Some of them are. Yeah, the girls are, to be sure. Yeah, no, they're of course welcome. Love having everybody here in our small community. It's a lot of fun. I just use such a guy nerd channel. I just wouldn't imagine, but we do have a slate of ladies that show up all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't driven them off
Somehow,
somehow. Yeah. I don't know.
somehow, some way,
The ladies like me though.
for some reason.
It's my burden. Yeah, I know. It's the I don't know what it is. It's maybe my if you see a pup and that pup is barking and snarling at everything, or you have another pup and that one is just kind of laid back and doesn't give a shit. Everyone loves the not give a shit pup. You know.
Yeah,
Don't need
it's
that
true.
snarling, angry one. We got to go pet the chilled one. And let's itself be petted happily.
Yes.
You can
Yes, and
pet me
Chester,
anytime,
as he has
ladies.
just described himself, Chester is nothing but a canine.
I am. I am. Yes, that's definitely true. Anyway, you want to get into it? I have
Let's
public
do it.
announcements that need to be gotten to. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yes. hmm hmm So
Public announcements.
public announcements, and we're going to start with this one here.
Public announcements.
Hmm.
What has he uncovered?
Okay.
Oh, make
Now,
my day. A trailer.
yes, and the English speakers are dumb because it's not "make my day," it's "muckle my day." It's supposed to be a joke. It's not funny. Yeah.
Ah,
This crap right here has a Japanese boy's name on it, but it's not made by Japanese. It's clearly American. He's probably an American Japanese, and it's slightly woke. It has its wokeness in it, but it's not focused on it. So that's not the issue I have with this piece of tripe. I watched this. Yeah, shouldn't have.
uh-oh.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix
this bad
special.
bad
Yeah.
call.
Well,
Well,
the
there was your first clue right
yeah,
there.
yeah. But my wife insists on keeping it, so obligations
Oh,
and all. But first of all, the art is CG stuff, and a lot of people hate that, and I don't really care for it often myself. There are some moments the art works, but it's not great in that regard. But the storytelling, I mean, this is ultra bloody and gory. Okay, fair enough, right? And but yet the writing is for like I don't know 8-year olds.
oh boy.
It's so sappy and so silly um, that I just it's unbearable. And I asked myself, is he a TVMA? And it's just for violence and gore, because the story is literally for 8-year olds, and I'm not exaggerating that. I put that at the correct age. 8 is who this was written for. So the disconnect is odd for me because you're getting an MA rating anyway, so go for it,
Mhm.
right? Kind of like
Yeah.
we saw with that Cyberpunk little anime that came out. It went for it, right? And good for them. But this show completely missed the ball, and I don't understand how it got greenlit and paid for, because it's only got a 5 rating and it doesn't deserve that. I would give it a 3.5 maybe. But the thing that gets me is, it's clear, it's super, and just wondering if I'm getting too old because it's very
Uh-oh.
clear to me that someone, remember 5 years, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I don't know what, sometime not so long ago, there was like a documentary or something on the nematodes, and those
Mhm.
weird little, microscopic, creepy mole creature things, right?
Yep.
And the internet kind of blew up about it for some the internet, who knows, right? But someone this guy had seen, what's his name, Yasuo Otagaki. Okay. He obviously saw that, was like, ooh, gotta make a story about it. Ooh. And that's the extent of his thinking. And then he took and then this does have black protagonist, which it doesn't really matter in the story. It's just what he chose. I'm sure it was chosen because of the wokeness, but it doesn't actually impact the story. They're just characters. But which is always something you have to consider these days, which is sad, really. But and the future is very black, by the way, just so you know. Yeah.
Of
But
course.
anyway, of course. But nevertheless, that's not an issue whatsoever. But they took the premise of the nematodes and they blew them up to elephant size and destroy the world type of thing is what this is. And it's just, it could have been something cool. It could have been something cool, but it's just so not. And I don't understand how. And yes, it is funny. Yeah. But I don't understand how this comes to be. Now, to be fair, all these actors got paid, so rock on, dude. Right. But
Yeah.
beyond that, it's weird. I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but it's just, how did this get greenlit is my question.
I
It's
don't know.
so lame, dude. It's so freaking lame. I love
Because
him. I love you. It's about love and working
these
together.
people
It's so, they're just talking down to you the whole time like you're 8. I mean, but then you have all the hardcore gore and violence, and it's like, how in the hell? Please help me understand.
because these people are children. They never grew up. People who write this nonsense. They never grew up, ever, not even remotely. They still think like children. They have very simple minds, and they write garbage. And they think they should be applauded for it, like a child does, simply for completing a task. Um, this we've seen it in many, many forms and in many, many things. A lot of this modern writing is so trash. Like I don't know. I don't have an answer for you how these things keep getting greenlit. How people continuously fail upwards in Hollywood and especially on these streaming platforms. But they do. They sure seem to. There seems to be no getting rid of them once they got their hooks in. They just keep going
Right.
upwards, failing upwards.
Yeah.
Um, it's revolting to me as somebody who actually enjoys writing, takes it very seriously, takes his time with it, tries to make sure it's, competent as much as he possibly can. It's fine if you want to have your moral message be it's about love. That's totally fine.
Yeah, but we
But
have
don't
an
just say it.
yeah, no. We have an
Yeah, hey,
expression,
hey,
two
it's
on the
about love.
nose. You know that expression we have? It's two
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
nose. Yeah, that one.
Hey guys, this story here, this one's about love, and that's the moral.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that
It's just so childish in its attempt. It just hammers you over the head with the obvious. It has no nuance or subtlety whatsoever. It's ridiculous. And if this was made for 8-year-olds, if it was made for them, it's still honestly it's dumbed down to almost like a 5 or 6-year-old in level in some places. But if it was
mhm.
made specifically for them, okay, fair enough. It's a kids show like that Paws Patrol or something like that. They're teaching moral lessons. Okay, fine. I'm okay with that. I don't agree with the Barney approach. I don't think kids are that dumb. But whatever. If that was the fact, but this is a no, not made for kids. It's impossible. It's way too violent and bloody. Now it doesn't have any sexualization or anything like that, but it's very gory. I mean, as hardcore as anime can get. And I don't even want to call this an anime, to be honest with you, because I know this was not made by Japanese. I know it wasn't. It has some influences. I think this guy, this Yasuo, probably grew up in a Japanese family somewhere in America. It certainly has some influence from anime, but it's not made by Japanese. My wife was kind of watching it along with me, and she kept turning her head sideways because it's not how Japanese think. It's a Western person's illusion of I should have said delusion, it would have been better, but of what they think Japan is. But I don't want to. I'm spending too much time on it. It doesn't deserve it. I just this is a public service statement announcement. Don't watch this shit. Okay, moving on.
Avoid it like the plague.
Now, I wanted to start out a little different than we normally do, and I just want to kind of scroll through what was available for me to choose and just kind of look at it. You know, we got a thing about Godzilla. We got the more nonsense from this stupid little girl about her character and how everyone's racist and being black is just normal. Okay, this movie sucked and we have no real plans. It's your fault. The Hogwarts Legacy boycott has collapsed, which did that shocks no one. Yeah,
Obviously. It's
obviously.
one of the
Um,
best games made in a decade. Of course it did.
this one's going to upset you. David Zaslav
Uh-huh.
hypes up Ezra Miller.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. Mhm.
Is that a money thing, or do you
I,
believe it? It might be a good movie. It could be a good movie, dude.
it's not gonna be it's an Ezra Miller movie. He can't act. He's the same character in every movie, or he doesn't talk. Those are the 2 kinds of acting you get from him. In the Fantastic Beasts movies, he barely talks at all, and then the other movies where he does talk, he's the exact same character in every movie.
Yeah, but the
And
surrounding
and
cast could help them.
it's not like Tom Cruise, right, where it's at least compelling and interesting to
Right,
watch, and his
right.
voice doesn't grate my very soul. It's this nerdy little F word that I'm not allowed to say on here. I cannot stand Ezra Miller. Like I know we memed that hell he's our mascot. No, he's a
Fungible,
retard. He deserves to be buried under the prison. That's
phonetic,
where he should be. Anyway,
flagellant, flatulent.
that's what I like that. We'll call him flagellants. These flagellants. I like
Well,
that's a good one. That's a
flagellants
good
or
stand-in.
flatulence are quite. I will go with flatulence.
Hey,
But
both work.
They do. They do. Especially in his case, yes. But
Yes.
Lord of the Rings, Warner Brothers saying, "Ha, Amazon screwed it up. We'll do better." Okay. This is Elite Fleet. Something is getting an option for TV. I'm sure it'll get screwed up. Fans, sorry already. More
Yeah.
about the distribution of the Flash. They're really pushing it. DC's pushing it in the comic book stores. We're going to talk about that. Cocaine Bear's hit. Big hit. Oh, little Banks here. You've had no success in your life. Well, except for that first little, cringy Mean Girl singing thing you did. But
Mhm.
everything else has been a bomb because you're hateful and nasty. Which lady, you're almost my age and you're very very hot still. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, she's around my age and she's smoking, dude. Right? So live on that a little bit, lady. But no, she's a feminist and a hardcore misandrist. Anyway, her Cocaine
Yeah.
Bear does well because it was something she was brought in at the last minute to helm and she couldn't poison it. But of course, it's still everyone's fault, though, even though it's
Of course.
successful. And she's a victim yet again. Okay, because that's all she got, right? Anyway, we'll talk about that. NATO had some
Oh
child
God. Yeah.
typing on their Twitter, "Oh, NATO." Okay, let's see. I don't know, some movie. We'll talk about that. Mantra, intentionally politically incorrect. Fun. We'll talk about that. It's our fault. It failed because of us. How dare you, Thundero? Uh,
Uh,
once again, trying to constantly backtrack here with James Gunn saying, "Well, I already wrote it before they brought him back, so we can't
yeah.
change what I
Another one.
wrote."
James Gunn's yours. That's your guy. That's
It
your boy
ain't
now.
my guy. I will not
That's
claim
your
him.
boy.
No, I refuse. Of course, it looks awful because it's, of course, once again, someone else's fault. All the money went to Wakanda Forever. That's why this movie looks like shit. No responsibility.
Uh-huh.
We'll talk about that. Why they've delayed Brie Larson? No. Momoa is out because it sucks, man. Okay. Critical Drinker didn't like your shit.
Aw.
And boy, someone hates her to put her in that haircut.
Wow. Yeah,
Poor girl. Poor I.
that is unfortunate.
I'm sorry, Angelina Jolie. Okay. Something like that. It's close. Angeline Lilly. It's almost the same name.
Vera
Uh,
Becker.
uh, we're getting Constantine 2, and they're really starting to work on it, and it's got the original crew, so it could be fun. That's one of my guilty pleasures. This right here, they're complaining on the set because we don't get the bathroom breaks we like. Oh. Microsoft is partnering with Nvidia and Nintendo to justify purchase of Activision Blizzard. Yeah, that's not going to be a cluster at all. We'll talk about that. Aw, China. China don't like a Simpson, referencing true fact about China. Okay. And Disney's there to help. Nice. Patrick Stewart threatens us with coming back to X-Men. Oh no. That's exactly what we want. Valiant Universe is getting a full-on faith film. Well, Bloodshot was so successful. This one certainly is going to be great. More about that nonsense. Oh, James Cameron. Oh, great. Okay. Confirms Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. Talk about Mel Gibson, which we talked about on the before. This Allison Brie runs nude through a hotel and posts videos of it on Instagram and doesn't get arrested. Of course. Okay, sure, why not? And nor should she. Okay. And Mark Hamill, of course, virtue signaling. It's kind of all he has left. He's kind of losing it up in the head, guys. It's all right. He's an old man. Give him a break. John Leguizamo race trading as usual because that's all he's got. Let's see who Ubisoft speech deemed life. Oh, yeah, my God! So they're going to work with the UK police to arrest people who are bullies and meanies on their games. How dare you speak? Okay.
How
Uh,
dare you?
how dare you? Aw. Maybe. I don't really care. Oh, look, it's David Cohen. Forever. You fucker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did
That's
I say a bad word? Aw. And it goes on, and Look at this one I love. Look how they changed her. She was very feminine body, even though she wasn't very feminine in her attitude. But look what they did. That is a full male body now, and you can explain it with her because she's completely robotic. But I mean, wow, dude, that's like
Yeah,
a
they did that on purpose.
that's like a dad
100%.
bod even.
100%.
Oh well.
And I
Anyway,
don't even really find Karen Gillian that attractive. I think I mean, she's got a decent figure on her, but she's too skinny for my tastes.
yeah, but as Nebula, she's
But at
not
least
supposed to be attractive.
she's built like a woman,
Oh yeah.
right? Like not like some androgynous android cretin
Well,
that
that's
we
a
got over here on
male.
this other.
That's like some, dad bod teen male, which doesn't make any sense. But that's just not a female. But yeah, she does. But as Nebula, she doesn't have to be pretty. Anyway, you can see there's just so much stupidity. Anyway, so this is what I
Seems to
chose
be
to
never
talk about,
ending.
huh?
It seems to be never ending.
It does, but this is what I chose. She has a good doctor, I suppose, Alpha Proto, this took no time at all to justify us. By the way,
Alec Baldwin no longer facing 5-year minimum jail sentence as prosecutors downgrade charges in Rust involuntary manslaughter case. What a surprise.
hands up. Who said this was going to happen? Hands up.
Yeah, there's two justice systems in this country. Well, really, there's three.
Sure.
And the famous and wealthy who say the right things, you see, who are on the right side of history, they don't go to jail. They have to really mess up to go to jail. Like, way more than accidentally, maybe intentionally, but probably accidentally killing somebody. You got to do something real bad
Yeah.
before you're going to jail.
To be fair, though, hello, lady. By the way, to be fair, though, I don't think he should go to jail. I mean, it was a horrible, tragic
I
accident
do.
on set. He should be
Now, I would go to
fined,
jail for it.
of
I'd
course.
go to jail for it, so he
Yeah,
should
I
go to
don't
jail.
think anyone should. It was an accident on set. It's
Yeah,
negligence,
no,
sure.
nah. Negligent death deserves jail time.
Yeah.
When you're somebody who's been doing this for 40 years, who's been through gun training, who knows better, you deserve it. It's just like saying
Didn't you
somebody
watch
who
Con Air
accidentally,
and see what
yeah,
happened to our boy
somebody
Nick?
somebody who accidentally kills somebody with a car doesn't deserve to go to jail either. No, you do. You killed somebody.
Oh, well,
It's
that's
might not
different.
have been intentional.
Those are
No, it isn't. What's the
extenuating
difference?
circumstances.
What's the difference between them functionally? You still accidentally
Alcohol,
killed somebody when you knew better.
alcohol. If they
Well, how
prove
do you
that
know he
they
wasn't fucking
well,
drunk?
and he's holding a doobie here. So if
Exactly.
they can prove that he was chemically impaired, oh, that's a different conversation.
I would actually mean that would give him less charge. If he wasn't chemically impaired, he still pointed a gun at somebody and pulled the trigger
Yeah,
without clearing it. No, I don't care. He deserves to go to jail for that.
yeah, fair
That
enough.
I would actually consider that murder. I would consider that second degree murder. It was not premeditated, but he still murdered him. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
well,
even call it manslaughter.
he's gonna
Because here's
barely
why
get
you
a
don't call it
fine.
manslaughter. You point a gun at somebody, a gun is a lethal weapon by design.
Yeah,
An axe, like say you're swinging an axe and the head comes off and it kills somebody, or you lose control of something and it kills somebody that isn't designed to be lethal, just a tool or a whatever, then I would give you manslaughter.
you
But a
know,
gun is designed from day one to do one thing, and that is to kill. So if you point that at somebody, you better damn well be sure it isn't capable at that moment of killing them, especially if you pull the trigger. I don't give him a pass. I don't care if it was tragic. I don't give a shit. He knew what he was doing. He chose to neglect the proper etiquette when you hold a firearm, and he pulled a trigger, pointing it at another human being, and killed them.
I
I
understand all
throw
of
him
that.
under the fucking jail.
I
See
get it.
ya.
I get it. I get
Bye.
it. But the thing that also is, has nothing to do with Baldwin per se, but the thing that's interesting to me is I just sitting here in my head can engineer a gun that looks like a real gun, but has like a shallower chamber for caps. And therefore it can never actually hold a bullet. I mean, you can have your stage guns which don't function at all, but they have bullets in them so the camera can see that if you're using a revolver anyway. But it's so easy to design a little cap flare gun, a little cap pop gun, to do
Right.
your stuff. Because keep in mind the other side of it, they're using squibs, which are little blood pop things, explosions that go off on a shirt or something you're wearing. But it would not be hard to design something that isn't a gun at all. I mean, you could take
Right.
the carcass of a real gun and just take all the mechanical guts out and just rebuild it into its little pop that you need, right? I mean, it's not hard engineering, and you would think it would create a whole nother industry and people to, get ILM on it. I'm just saying,
For
I can
some
sit here in my
reason,
head and engineer it right now. I could engineer it. And who am
for
I?
some reason,
I'm
they
nobody.
always want to use real guns. Um, I don't really know why, because for most people, especially with camera tricks and lighting tricks and things, most people aren't going to know if you're not using a real gun.
Right, and
Like
you
they're
could
just not.
use
They
a
can't.
carcass,
They're not that expert, right? They're
but
not
you could
experts at firearms.
no, but you could use a carcass of a real gun. That's fine. But there's no need for the mechanics to be involved. You should
Right.
engineer it so and by doing that, you actually can control the flare, the muzzle flare, and all that kind of stuff to get an effect you want better than using you know these shells that don't have actual bullets in them. These
Right.
what do they call them? Blanks.
Blanks.
But there's other ways to do it. I'm just saying there's other ways to engineer it. You can do a revolver brings up a little bit more difficulty, but everything else is easy, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know why Hollywood hadn't done that long ago.
Well,
Uh,
especially considering you can buy like airsoft guns right now. You can buy them that they shoot little pellets, but
mhm.
they're not lethal or really even that damaging. They sting a bit. That look, if you didn't know what to look for and you saw from a distance, you would think it was a real gun. No doubt in your mind. I
Yeah.
don't even care if you are a trained professional. You would definitely think it's a real gun.
And Eric
So
makes a good point here as well. Most studios use rubber gums now anyway. They do muzzle flash with CG, and which we know when they do that. Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, because it's really hard to pantomime the recoil effect. Um, so it always looks like they're just pointing a thing at it and nothing. They're not actually shooting anything. Um, no, I just think this sort of stuff shouldn't be given a pass. Gun safety is paramount. If you're a person
Yeah.
who's ever around firearms, you know this. You do not point a gun at anybody unless you either one have secured it, meaning you know for a fact it isn't loaded because you checked it, or you intend to kill them.
Yeah. And
Simple. There's
and
no other
they
alternatives.
were
That's
clearly
it.
half-assing it anyway. This is clear.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be
I think
half-assing it that way.
everybody
Yeah.
involved, him and the chick, should
You
be
know,
at least jail time for
there
sure.
is a silver lining to this tragedy though. Because they were going to call this movie Dust and Rust, and it's too similar to Dust for me, because Dust must be saved to be used for that really cool sci-fi future space opera steampunky thing.
Hmm.
That thing is badass. It needs its own movie. Anyway,
Mhm.
I just figured we give an update because to no one's surprise, he's not going to get in any trouble at all.
Ridiculous. He'll get a fine effectively.
Mhm.
So he
And he'll write a
listen,
book
as
about
long
it
as you're
too.
rich and famous enough, you get to kill anybody you want
Yep.
and just pretend it was a mistake.
Yeah.
And
But
that's all you got to do.
oh yeah.
Even if it wasn't a mistake, you just got to pretend it was.
Right.
And you're good to go. Of
Well, the thing is, he's going to write a book about it.
course, he probably
And
already
he's
has it
gonna
written.
make money.
Well,
He's gonna make money.
he's not writing it. I'm sure
Oh,
someone else
someone
is going to
else
write it
will.
for
Yeah.
him and he'll just put his name on it, but
Mhm. 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 Yep. Anyway, moving on to the next dumbassery of our century.
oh yeah. Roald Dahl's censored books will be joined by the original versions. So why censor them at all?
Oh,
What?
because Roald Dahl, of course, is famous. When it
Yeah.
comes to children's books, there's two names that pops in everybody's head very quickly. Even though there are many other authors, you have Dr. Seuss and you have Roald Dahl. right?
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss is far more prolific and far more important to the education of young minds. But Roald Dahl certainly created three books that he probably did more, but only three that come to my mind that were great. James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Matilda, of course. These are his big books, and like I said, he might have wrote others, but those are the only ones I know. But they're censoring them not in the form of not being allowed here in the UK, over there in the UK, in the library, but no, they figured, well, we can fix it. We'll just rewrite it. You see, and they've got to get rid of these mean things. Like there's this sentence that says that fat girl. How dare they? Or she was ugly,
Yeah.
or they are greedy, or things like that. How dare they? How dare they? Modern sensibility and all, Thundero. But of course,
Hmm.
people like, yeah, no, get your hands off. And there was a huge backlash, as there should have been. And now, instead of stopping this rewritten nonsense, Penguin Random House, which isn't interesting, those two came together, has announced that we will also be printing the classic versions. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
So
That's nice.
again, my question stands: why bother with it then? Because we know for an absolute fact which one's going to sell more of the other. It's not even close. It's not even going to be. It'll be a wasted. It's going to be a waste of time, money, and ink
Yep.
to print these edited versions. Nobody wants that nonsense.
To a,
People
to
want the original
appease libtards.
to
Yes,
appease
that's why.
people who aren't going to buy the books anyway. To appease people who will probably, if they even have the books or have ever read the books, probably stole it from
More
the
than
internet
likely,
or
yeah.
somewhere else.
But I mean, we see this kind of concession all the time. Like I just watched V the other day. He did a video on San Francisco, which no one knew, but San Francisco has been banning any kind of buses or trains or anything going to those damn evil red states. 30 of them. They've been in boycott of red states. Which, did you know that? I didn't know that. But
Cool.
officially,
Well,
but they decided.
that is
Yeah,
listen, that is a deal right there, buddy.
yeah.
That's
But
a win for
it
every
is.
red state
It
involved.
is. But they've decided to stop because it's costing them money. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's also, where's your conviction then? See, the thing is, if these people actually had any real conviction, I'd have to respect at least that, right? But they
Mhm.
don't. I mean, if you believe this is harmful, then you should not accept anything less. I mean, that's that. If that's what you believe, you should. Why would you shift it?
Right.
Why would you shift it? Right? Go tell a Muslim that. See how shifty they get. Hmm.
Yeah.
Not at
You know,
all.
it's all nonsense. It's these people are evil. Like we need to stop pretending that they're not. This is how this stuff always begins. It always begins by shutting up the truth tellers or trying to change history. They've been doing it for far too long, and good people just keep letting it happen. They get mad, they scream, they bitch, and they moan. But like Alpha Proto over here says, what they do is they release them slowly, they drip feed them, and then eventually that's all you can find is the altered version. It'll be they'll just dial back how many of the other ones they put out there
Mhm.
until eventually the altered one is preeminent.
That's true, and that's
Um,
what Alpha Proto said, and that's exactly what they've done, and they will
yeah,
do again. And Eric says they censored Hag in Old Hag. They had to censor that. Why? Well, yeah, because they don't like adjectives, Eric.
a great non-political version of this is George Lucas's special editions in Star Wars. Right? You still, as far as I know, you still cannot get official original versions anywhere.
Yeah.
um, which is preposterous to me. I don't know why Disney doesn't. Well, Disney apparently just hates money, because that would make them a lot if they released the original edits on Blu-ray or for streaming or whatever. But they won't because I'm assuming George demanded they not when he sold it to him. But regardless, that's another example of what Alpha Proto is talking about.
Yeah.
George
And
Lucas intentionally edited his own work. Fair enough. Intentionally edited his own work. He didn't do it for political reasons or anything. He just did it because he had a bug up his butt.
yeah, it's like Grant
And
Morrison or Garth
yeah,
Ennis or any of those people. They
and
can do what they
now
want. Yeah.
you can't really find the originals. You might be able to find some on eBay or something. Somebody selling an old a rip that they've got from somewhere, or the laser discs, if there was original laser discs, I believe, uh, that was ripped onto DVD. But
Mhm,
by and large, there, like I said, there is no official version out there, and that's exactly what's going to happen with this.
mhm.
Like we know what the game is. That's why I was asking the question. So why even bother with it? Because the reason they're bothering with it is because their plan is to play the long game.
Yeah,
They're going to do it when
and
no one's looking, and they're going to do it slow.
well, they're doing that to bring attention to Roald Dahl so they can do this and people won't pay attention to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Ian Fleming's James Bond books are being
Uh-huh.
revised in
Yeah.
new editions.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see, they
yeah,
are
yeah.
right in front of God and everybody. They are changing the past. And not enough people understand why this is repugnant and dangerous and evil.
So
Because
what
this is
words though?
how it starts.
What racial
All of it.
slurs? Negroid
Probably
is
Negro or something like that. Yeah.
but is that a
Um,
slur though? I don't think that's a slur.
I don't know.
I mean,
It's not.
the American Southernized bad pronunciation one has become a slur, sure, but Negroid or Negro is simply the classification.
Correct.
Yeah,
Accurate. Of their
yeah,
skin type, yes.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I don't, well, I don't know what they're talking about. I've read those books and I didn't come across anything that seemed untoward.
oh, I bet you it's not just that. That's probably see, that's their they know that people shut up when you say they're fixing racism, and they can get away with that. So they're probably gonna make him, he's a little bit kinder, he's not as misogynistic, or blah 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 blah. It's literally a slippery slope.
Oh
It's a
no, we've
poison
seen
pill.
this before. Well, we've seen
Yeah.
it many times throughout history, and we'll see it again.
Red herring. That's the term I was looking for.
Well, it could be
Racism is a
that.
red herring.
Yeah, that's
It's a
fair.
complete red herring.
And I was thinking this over with Roald Dahl's situation, or even the Ian Fleming one. Why don't we just, while we're at it, why don't we just make Matilda a little black French girl? I mean, the French
I
people
mean, they've
would
already
put their hands up
done
and
that.
say, "That is wonderful." The French would love it. They're so far
Yeah.
gone, right? So why don't we just do that? I mean, that's what they want to do, right? That's their goal, right?
They
Uh,
have successfully made the Western person, which is by and large white people, but they've done it to blacks too to some degree, hate their own culture and heritage.
mhm.
They've done it to huge swaths of the Western population, mostly the women. And
Oh, they
because of
hate
that,
women. Oh, they hate women, dude. This whole thing is
because of
so
this,
anti-women, and you're starting to get people who they call
yes,
turfs, but you're starting to get people starting to speak out against it. And oh my,
yes.
it's going to get ugly. We'll just sit back and watch. We men.
But because of the self-hatred that these people feel, and I use the term people as loosely as I can to describe a human being, um, they are willing to destroy everyone else's enjoyment and pleasure and the things that they care about and love just to appease their own self-hatred.
Hmm. Well,
Because you see, Chester, there's one thing that people misunderstand. Everybody misunderstands this, and it's why so many people die miserably. It's why so many people live miserably. It's why they can't. Why can't I get better? Why can't my life get better? Why this, that, da, da, da? It's because they're an addict. They are
that's true.
addicted to misery.
It is
They
true.
like feeling bad.
uh
It gives them comfort.
Yeah.
So they will
Well,
do things that feel bad to them so that they can later feel good about it. How crazy is that? That is a messed up form of weird psychosis that I don't even think we've actually diagnosed scientifically yet, because
oh,
this
I'm
is a
sure we have.
relatively new phenomenon where people hate themselves so much and they want to punish themselves and where they come from, their people, so much that it actually feels good to them when they do it.
Yeah, no, they're
That's
destroying
insane.
themselves. It's true. With this kind of stuff, it'll come back around. It always does. Everything kind of goes in cycles. This attack on the written word is just something that humans keep cycling through over and over and over. And it is interesting when you take into account not the etymology, but the linguistics we use, because when you're talking about writing, you're using spells, right?
Yes.
You're literally spelling, and people take that to heart, and we've seen this so many times, dude, so many times. But anyway, I just, it is what it is. You're not going to change it. But hopefully you have the original versions because they will disappear.
Well, what needs to happen, the solution to this is, and I saw some guys like Styx Hexenhammer talk about this, and I think he's absolutely correct. Somebody with some money and some influence and some clout needs to create an archive, a repository
We
of
have that.
unaltered,
We have that.
unedited knowledge
We have that already.
uh, that is publicly accessible for free to anybody. And yeah,
Archive.org.
that can be manipulated. It's already been manipulated. They've
Well,
erased things from there at will.
everything can be
Something
manipulated, dude.
something that is much, much, much harder than that. You don't want it on the internet. You need an actual place.
Like the
Much harder than
Norwegian
that.
seed bank in Spolberg.
Exact idea, but for
Uh,
culture.
mm,
Um, just because these people will never stop. They will never be satisfied. Look what the communists did to China. Look what they did to Russia. They
mm.
practically raped their own culture.
No, they
And
literally did, yeah.
yeah, that's what they're going to do here. These people are Maoist communists and they're evil. Don't pretend that people need to stop pretending. Oh, they're my cousin or they're my brother. No, 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 no. Whoever that person was that you loved is dead. They have been replaced by a monster
Yeah,
walking in their skin.
I think you're
They're
being too
evil.
nice. I think they're more Paul Potts, really.
Well,
No,
it's
they're
very
more violent.
possible.
They're way more violent than Mao. I'd put them in Paul Potts or their ultra hero Che Guevara. You know the
Yeah.
actual serial killer guy, that guy.
Yep.
And it still amazes me how many people walk around with Che Guevara shirts. It's like,
I
have
honestly,
you
it.
ever researched this fellow at all? He's a bad
I.
dude, man.
You want to talk about these people talk about going around punching Nazis, right? You'll see a guy dressed up like as not like as a in Nazi uniform or wearing a swastika or something. They go punch him. Okay, well then I'm going to start beating the shit out of anybody I see wearing commie shit because communism is far more evil than Nazism ever thought about being,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's far more insipid and insidious. Um, I'm just done, man. I'm done pretending
Opinions
like we in this
presented on this
country
show
right
are
now.
not necessarily those held by the moderators.
the there's people in this country right now, including our president, who has instituted against an entire race and gender straight oppression. Now it's always been there subtly, but now he's just kicked it into high gear with these executive orders he's been putting out lately. And I don't see a single leftist, that's supposedly a leftist, saying anything about it at all. They don't
Well,
care. They're
you know,
fine with it. They
it,
want
it,
they want white men oppressed. That's what they want.
this is
They want
interesting
revenge.
that you mentioned that. Let me bring something up really quick. Um, this is going on at the universities, some of them. Did I misspell that a little bit? Okay. Have you noticed this?
I have not. What do we got?
Um, there is a revival, a spiritual Christian revival going on at Ashbury University, and it's spread to many other universities where thousands of the kids are having prayer revivals like on a nightly basis.
Good.
Well, no, sure, this is actually a good thing. But it's interesting to me because I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
Right? Now I know the universities are the epicenter of it's the worst place for all this nonsense to have to live through it. But when spiritual revivals spread throughout youth, children, things
Yes.
are really bad, dude.
They're
That is a
desperate.
sign of desperation, and especially with youth, because young
Yeah.
people, are figuring out who they are. They're trying on new ideas as they should, right?
Right.
The way it is. But if they're full on prayer revivals just sweeping across multiple universities across America and thousands of kids doing prayer revivals on a nightly basis, wow, dude, that is
They're hungry.
radically telling. That is
Yeah.
radically telling. And the thing, and I'm with Governor Huckabee on this one, by the way, because he's pointed out that there are some theologians who are saying, "Well, their theology is not precisely correct." Fucking shut your mouth, dumbass. I mean,
Exactly.
I what,
And
dude?
it's
You
kind of funny, right?
moron, right?
These theologians who think they know so much are directly ignoring the words of their Savior, of their God. When he
Yeah.
said, and now these people technically aren't children anymore, but it's the same principle. He said, "Suffer not the little children, never turn them away from me." These people are these young guys, these young college kids, as we call them. Our society has made them so infantile. If you talk to some of them, it's amazing how childlike
That
some of
we
them
just
are.
talked about that earlier with that
Yes,
anime. Yeah.
and mentally and emotionally, especially maturity wise, these are children still, even if they're in college. They just are. A lot of them are. Not all of them are, but a lot of them are. So when you have theologians and these people out here discouraging people from coming to Jesus Christ, they are committing a direct, obvious, blatant sin because Jesus said, "Don't do that," and they're doing it. That
Mhm.
makes it a sin. If Jesus said, "Don't do something," and you do it, you're sinning. Doesn't matter about your logistics and your theology and all your nonsense legalism.
Well,
It's simple as
it's
that. If Jesus is
simpler.
your God, if he says, "Don't do something," and you do it,
Yeah,
you're
but
sinning. Shut up and go away.
it's simpler than that, even if you want to
Yep.
quote the Jeebus, because the disciples came to him. Once again, why does the Christian know your Bible, the non-Christian know your Bible so well? Maybe I am the beast, but nevertheless,
Uh-oh.
the disciples went to Jesus and they were saying, "Oh, these people they're talking about, but their dogma isn't exactly right." Exactly what's happening here, precisely. And Jesus says, and they were, we gotta do it, we gotta change it, we gotta do something, we gotta do something about it. They were in a panic, and he says, "Why would you do anything if they're not against us? They're with us."
Correct.
It's the simplest
Okay.
statement. It doesn't matter how precise they are on
And
our
it doesn't
side.
matter how real their faith is. Simply doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's the thing is so many people misunderstand. Even if you like, the idea that Jesus isn't real is all made up doesn't matter. None of it matters
And
because
look,
the message matters. The message is more important
right.
than the material. The
And look
message matters.
look how
And
CNN
if these
decides to cover it though.
that's amazing. And if these people are feeling something real and it helps them to be better people, to be more sane in an insane world, to just be decent human beings, or it just gives them some happiness that isn't wicked. Why would you discourage that? I don't care what they're doing as long as they're not hurting anybody. Why does it matter? Like let them enjoy themselves in a spiritual way. There's nothing wrong with that. And too many people, like you said, a lot of these theologians and stuff want to try and discourage it because they're not doing it my way. It's not my way. They're
Yeah.
patting their
Yeah.
feet down on the ground, getting all mad when Jesus was pretty clear there isn't a right way.
Yeah.
Like he said in fact, anybody who gathers in my name, two or more people gather in my name, there will I be also. That's what
Yeah.
he said.
No, exactly. The Bible is chastising you directly, Mr. and Mrs. Theologians.
Yes,
But yeah, no, but it's a great thing to see. But it is also terrifying because if it's gone that far,
yep,
you know how bad it is on those universities, dude. That's a sign. This is a symptom, a
yep.
very serious one. And just so I can clear this up here right now and forever, for the believers amongst us, which is fair enough because I might not be a dogma, but I'm not an atheist, right?
Yep.
I am without any question. I'm certainly not an atheist. I'm a deist, good
Me
old
too.
classical deist, just like our founders. But let me just clarify this: the beast or the dragon, Satan, and the Lucifer are not the same people.
Correct.
Okay, the beast is the fallen angel. He's the bad guy, right? He's the dragon, the great dragon. Satan was an angel whose job was to be the jester and question God. He's not
The
an
accuser.
evil angel. He has a job, a duty. He's actually valued by God. And Lucifer, he has a name. Most people today call him Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh.
He is the
Don't say that.
illuminated one, the morning sun. He is Horus. God damn it. It.
I like how you ended that with a GD.
Yeah,
That was
thank you.
good. That was
Yeah.
fitting. But it's just crazy to me, man. This should be something that all these Christians are celebrating, and I've seen it. I have
A lot
heard
are.
I
A
heard
lot are.
something about it.
Yeah. I
Well,
love
good. They
CNN
should
though.
be. It's just
I
like
love
the same
CNN.
people who got all up in their feelings about. We were talking about the Passion of the Christ earlier. It's funny. They got all up in their feelings and about their theology, and this is wrong. This isn't biblical. Blah blah blah. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Is it
matter.
working?
Yeah,
Is it
that's true.
working?
That's true. And I love you can tell which ones are saying this is interesting or we love this, and those who are trying to attack it, that because we have both the Insider and CNN doing the whole measles
Yep.
thing. Yeah, these horrible Christians. But it's wonderful. But it is a symptom. It is a symptom. But let's move on because I don't have all day. I actually got a very busy day. Anyway, this is the big one I wanted to talk about.
Latest Fantastic Four rumor claims Reed Richards and Sue Storm will already be parents. Oh boy.
Okay, well,
So wait.
mhm,
Will they be parents, as in it's their child,
mhm.
or will he be raising a black man's baby?
Well, that's a good
Are we? And my
question.
question: Are we cucking Reed right out of the gate? We're just
Um,
right out of the gate.
He will be raising my child.
he probably
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
be.
I mean,
But
I can't blame you. Sue is
well,
unbelievable.
here is
Oh,
a very rather Asianed up Sue Storm, which is
yeah, that's
inappropriate because that's a better Sue right there. Sue has
That's
never been presented as gorgeous. She's just a normal blonde lady, right?
I
that's
mean, I
Art
wouldn't kick
Germ.
her out
That
of
was
bed.
Art Germ's cover. He didn't. I don't think he Asianed it up. That's just his style.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this isn't very accurate. This is more accurate. It doesn't matter. But my point is, they were initially going to go with this girl,
Oh,
Oh fuck
which
no,
yeah,
no.
I
God.
know she might be a
That
good actress,
honestly,
but
and I
damn,
don't
dude,
mean this like in an offensive way to trans people. That looks like a trans person.
it does. But it's not. But however, this girl, she at least is racially correct, I guess. But
Right,
more
hair
than the
color.
last
Well, maybe.
movies.
Yeah.
But God, poor Sue. Like I said, she was
You know who
never
would have made a
depicted as.
great?
Yeah, go ahead.
It, she's too old for the role now. But
Zsa
I'm
Zsa
just
Gabor.
looking at it recently. No, Michelle Pfeiffer would have made a great Sue
Oh
Storm.
no, she would have been. You're right. She would have been good. Yeah.
I don't
But
like that.
however, so they weren't racing it up initially. I don't know who was supposed to play Reed. Maybe that's where they were going to race swap it. But they weren't. But she's out. Aw. And now we're going to get someone else because they have decided that they're going to do the Franklin story. And
Oh,
well,
that's a bad
So does
plan.
so does this
well,
mean they're doing the John Byrne Fantastic Four?
probably.
Listen, I love Franklin Richards. The Franklin Richards ain't the problem. Marvel under Disney doing Franklin Richards is the problem. They can't
Probably.
write. They can't even write Ant-Man, bro. Like, you think they're gonna nail this guy? The most complicated
Yeah,
character, complex character they could ever possibly touch?
but it
A
does.
basically a god?
They
They're
it
gonna write him well.
but it does fit into their whole
Uh,
multiverse
And
idea they have,
and,
right?
and they already messed up the nanny for those two children and Agatha
Yeah.
Harkness.
Right,
Yep.
right. They did screw that up. So obviously there's going to be a lot of changes. And of course, the big question would be because we know one of the controversies they did initially, well, not initially, but later with Franklin when they started, using him, doing stuff with him, it was suggested that his sister was Abigail, I think, or whatever the sister's name is. Um, uh,
Valeria.
Valerian, yeah, sorry. Valerian was Dr. Doom's kid. So
Yep.
cucked Reed right out with that, and I
Cuck
have a
him again.
feeling. Well, I have a feeling they'll go with that, won't they?
Please don't.
Um,
I swear to
uh,
God, I will shoot up a theater myself.
Dude,
Just letting it
don't
be
be the
known.
stereotype, Grimlock. Okay.
I'm
Uh,
not because it's no
He's
no
not.
because
He's
it's
not a
normally white.
Jewish kid.
Because it's normally white. It's normally white people who dressed up like a
Now, I
clown
take
who go
offense to
shooting up
that.
that
fucking
is fair.
theaters.
That is fair.
I take offense to that.
Damn
They're
clowns.
normally white
No,
Jewish
no, no.
kids.
I can stand with the prejudice against the clowns. I'm good. But anyway, they want to do the Franklin run, which is complicated. So I don't know. I have no faith in these people anymore whatsoever. They're
Here,
gonna
here,
they're gonna do
here's
something
where I'm
weird.
worried about that too. because they already went with the idea of we'll use the multiverse to fix everything, and then
Mhm.
it's going to be, well, are they just going to use Franklin to fix everything?
Yeah, is
Probably.
he just going to be the genie in the bottle whenever they need a
Probably.
wish solved?
Which,
And
me personally, I already had the theory that Marvel could reboot their fucking comics by just saying it was all a nightmare from Franklin Richards.
yeah, no, well, yeah, and to be fair, it's probably not going to be Franklin. It's going to be Frankie, and it's going to be a girl.
Oh god, they already have a
Frankie's gonna,
Frankie in this fucking universe,
yeah.
Hmm.
and we're not going to get we're not going to get Frankie Ray Nova either. There's so
Hmm.
many good characters in the Fantastic
Hmm.
Four. Come on.
I listen, under a competent company that doesn't have a wicked agenda to politicize literally everything, I would love to see Franklin Richards the whole story
It could
arc
be
in
fun.
some movies.
It
That could
is,
be awesome.
especially because
Franklin's a great
Franklin,
character.
and he came to a point of wisdom too in his childhood,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
he reduced himself because he understood he needed years to learn.
Yes.
So that is cool. You could do some cool stuff for Franklin, and not doing an origin story again is probably a good idea, right? Um,
But there's a big old Brazilian butt right in
mm,
everybody's
mm,
face right
mhm,
now.
mhm.
These people can't even write Ant-Man well anymore.
No,
That every review I've seen of this Ant-Man movie,
well,
and I was thinking about going to see it this weekend just
no,
because I was
don't,
curious,
don't, yeah.
and it's an absolute trash pile.
Well,
It's not even a dumpster fire because at least a dumpster fire is useful, gives off heat. This is
right.
garbage.
Well,
This has no use,
because
none.
because Ant-Man is basically everyone's yelling at Paul Rudd's Ant-Man because he's a dumb white man that needs to do better. Everyone's
That's right.
the whole thing is that being chastised for being a dumb white man who doesn't do enough. His Antifa daughter and his mother-in-law and all that kind of everyone is just chastising him the whole time because he's a stupid white man. And you thought that was going to win, especially because the original Ant-Man was one of
Yep.
my favorite Marvel movies. I know I'm in a minority, but I thought it was free-spirited, fun, and very lighthearted, and I enjoyed it for that.
Easy to watch.
Easy to watch. It was good fun, and Paul Rudd is just likable, right?
He is.
And
He's
you
always
took
been that guy.
Yeah, and you took it
Yep.
away because of your ideology. But
Yep.
so we can't have any faith in this is going to be anything. And of course, it brings up a very interesting little conversation that has to be part of it.
Rumor
Mm,
Kevin Feige to abandon Marvel Studios wants to be number 2 at Disney itself. So he
so
wants the upgrade right
right,
under
and
Iger.
and
Wants to
why not?
basically he wants to take over for Iger eventually. Is probably really what he
Right,
wants.
and and he's positioned himself well to do so. To be fair.
Yep. Fair
So,
enough. Yeah.
what happens, Grimlock, if Kevin Feige does move up to, be the new Chapek, basically? Because Chapek has been he's a scapegoat 100%, and he's an idiot
Memory
as well.
holding. Yep.
It's
But
going to get even worse
uh, yeah, but who's going to
you
come
know
in?
who's
You
coming.
think, and you don't think it might get a little better with another set of eyes on this?
No, because
No.
that's not who they're going to put in. They're going to put Victoria Alonso in his space.
Probably, that's true. So
And
just gets
and if
worse.
anybody wanted to know, things have gone noticeably downhill the more power that bitch has gotten in that studio.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
Kevin too. Unfortunately, when he was reeled in and controlled by a Perlmutter and guys like that, he actually performed well, right?
Yes.
Well, once he was given authority and let to do what he wanted, his
Well, look behind you.
brain
Look behind him
melted.
right there.
Yeah, I
That's what
know.
you got.
Yeah, I know.
You got that nonsense.
Oh,
Oh
David,
my god.
stop being so
Look
zany,
how tan he
David.
is. Look at the tan. He's everybody knows he ain't that dark. Come on now, bro. Everybody knows what Taika looks like. He don't look like this. He almost looks black.
Yeah,
What's going
he'd been running around in the sun, you go, David. He shall never be anything other than David Cohen.
Yeah,
You
David Cohen. Yeah, that's him.
And now that
Mhm.
you know it, now that you can see it, dude. He does
Yeah, yeah,
color
yeah.
himself up, and to be fair, he is mixed. He is mixed
Yeah.
like my kids. But Yeah, I'm so zany. Don't you love me?
Oh
Okay.
God.
But
Just a bunch of
what
awful
is this girl
people.
doing?
I don't
Dominique Thorne. Was she in that movie? I guess.
got
I
a
have
good
no. I
name though.
won't know. I
It's a
won't
nice
see
name.
it. She's a little thing though. Look at that teeny little girl. She's very
Well, he's
happy
pretty
though.
tall, Feige. Isn't Feige like 6'4", 6'5"?
I don't know. I have no
He's a
idea.
pretty tall guy.
But
But yeah,
you know, so he's up
I like
around
her
my
name.
size, huh? All
Good
right.
name. Dominique Thorne. Sounds like a secret agent.
Yeah, and she looks
Dominique
like an
Thorne.
eager, fresh-faced, happy kid, happy to be their kid.
Oh, they'll
Uh,
ruin that for you, honey. Don't
well,
worry.
she probably already has a bad attitude, to be fair, but that this because body language and eyes and stuff like that is a skill you should all learn if you haven't
Yeah.
already
I'll say this,
to
she seems
read.
to be in control of her. She's got that's a very powerful basic stance she's got there. She doesn't look like she's yielding, right? She's unwavering. Like she's got
Yeah,
a lot
but
of confidence,
she
stuff
also
like that.
looks like a happy kid who's she's just happy to be
Yeah.
there. She has
Well,
that
like
look.
I said, they haven't broke her yet. They will. Don't worry.
Yeah, I
They'll
would.
break her.
I'm assuming her attitude's
That
already
that
bad.
weird sullen look that all the women have after a few years with Hollywood. Everybody's seen it, right? Jennifer
Yeah,
Lawrence's constant face, that like dead face.
yeah.
That's the same thing that Hollywood does to the men, but to the men they make them wear a dress. You see,
Oh
it's
Isn't that
this
yeah.
the girl that
weird.
plays? Isn't she the one that plays Ironheart?
I have
It
no
could be.
idea, dude. Yeah, I have
I
no
think
idea.
that's her.
You notice they didn't race swap that one though, huh? That's funny.
Holy
That's
shit.
interesting.
So how freaking tall is Bob Iger then?
I don't know. I thought Feige was tall. Maybe he isn't. Maybe she is just tiny. Hang on, let's look this up.
Because that's a 7-footer right there, which makes sense. Oh, look at the guy behind him. Oh, jeez. I think that's a Skarsgård back there. Watch the hell
Land of
out.
the Giants.
I would feel at home. I
Why
should
are
go to
you?
Disney. I wouldn't be a freak and a pariah anymore. Good luck.
All right,
But
Bob Iger is only 6'1", so she must be real small if Feige was
wow,
taller.
because I'm taller than Iger.
Yeah,
And Feige is way shorter than I am. Damn,
yeah.
dude. Damn.
So she's a little thing, little
She's like an
spitfire.
8-year-old.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that doesn't mean anything, though. It doesn't really matter. And Hollywood does like little people. The funny thing is that tradition has continued. I wonder why. Because back in the day, it was a camera issue, right?
Yes.
Of trying to, keep everything in the shot and balance out the balance out the size of everything around it. These days, I would assume with modern cameras, it's a much less of an issue. Although if you do have a tall person with a little person on screen, it does scream and stand out. But then again, Tom Cruise has that problem. And have you noticed that Tom has kind of gotten over his little man thing a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
honestly think
a
a
little
lot of
bit,
Tom's
a little
ego
bit. Yeah.
is died off in
It
the last
feels
10
so.
years
He's
or
gotten
so.
older.
Yeah.
He's matured. I mean, he's a little older than I am. But in the old movies, he'd always be on a box or standing on a box to make sure he wasn't so
Yes.
little. But in the
Or make
past
him
two,
squat down.
well, yeah, but the last couple movies I've seen him in, like the one he was in with Henry, and Henry's
Yeah.
not that tall, but he's comparatively, but he's standing in this scene, short as shit, next to Henry Cavill and not sweating it,
No.
right? And it
Yeah.
works because Tom plays big really well. He's good at
He
it.
does.
Yeah,
He does. He's kind of like Shawn Michaels. The rest of Shawn Michaels. He's not a very
yeah.
big guy either, but you
No, but he
never knew
plays
it.
big.
He just
He plays big.
he had a way of making himself feel bigger. Tom
Yep,
does the same thing.
he does. Yeah. Anyway, Joy's another failure on
Joy
your
is.
under your hat there, Feige.
Man, this Quantum Mania thing, that's actually kind of sad. I knew it was going to be crap, but to see it be this bad, and it's not like it's just us saying it, it's universally panned.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying it's
It's
garbage.
a $200
That's
million movie, dude.
that's crazy, bro.
And it's not going to break, and it's going to flop
It is
because
flopped already. Its second
And it's
weekend was
Ant-Man. It can't
bad.
afford to have bad press, right? Because they're
No,
not
they
the ones that
needed it.
Ant-Man movies don't make money anyway. They're not the
They've
big
been
money.
well,
losing money hand over fist
it's
recently.
not
It's
just
not
not
good.
just that. That's supposed to be the big kickoff to your Phase 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just saw
Okay,
an article that said that Phase 5 is still, they have no clue what they're doing. They're still talking about it. So they don't
Yeah.
even know. They would. Phase 4 was a complete lack of any direction. Phase 5 has no direction either. So I don't even know
Well, of
why
course
you're
they
calling
did.
them phases.
They
The face of
should.
Phase 4 was moved to Phase 5. That should tell people everything that they
Yes.
need to fucking know
Yeah, they're
right
Exactly.
like
now.
they're really
They
struggling.
should have paused.
They have
I
no.
know COVID kind of made them pause, but I mean a real pause, like 5 years or so after Endgame. They should have just chilled out,
Yeah.
not done anything. Maybe put out the Spider-Man movie because it was basically already ready to go anyway. Um, and they should have otherwise just paused and figured out what they wanted to do next. But
Yeah.
they
What?
didn't do that.
Yeah. Why don't you just do like a couple little TV series? Make a
Yep.
princess movie. When's the last time we got an animated princess movie from frickin' Disney, dude?
Oh,
Brave.
there's a couple reasons they didn't pause. The first reason is because retarded fucking shareholders. You know,
Yep.
you have to sell them on. Well, we're gonna make this amount of this. We got to make this arbitrary amount of money we've placed in this quarter of the year. So we got to do something to justify that. And then plus the fact, the hubris of Kevin Feige and those idiots, because they really thought that they had the audience so conditioned to just consume anything that came out of Marvel because it was Marvel, and phases 1 through 3 went so well that they was just going to keep going regardless as to how shit it was. And and they kept trying to downplay the fact that whether people like it or not, the show media has is not what it once was. They can't gloss over things. You're not beating the YouTubers. The old
No.
media is dead. The body doesn't know it yet, but the old media is dead. You cannot you right now they can't beat the new media.
Hmm.
Whether and it's regardless of whether people like it or not. The nerdrotics, the doomcocks of the world, whoever you name them, anybody who's considered non-shill right now has a bigger and more accurate voice than the shills.
No, the YouTube is
They're
kicking their ass. That is true. But of course, the
and
YouTubers need this content. Without this content, the YouTubers are dead.
that's true. But here's the thing: they don't have billions on the line. Marvel went just had an entire phase where everything at best underperformed and at worst flopped.
Oh no, it's
You
doing very
had
badly. It really is. It's true. It
all
is true.
all the Disney Plus shows underperformed.
Right. But
Some
no,
worse than others.
I'm still geeking out about
All the
Asmongold. I mean, what a beautiful young
all the
geek.
all the all the Marvel movies. I mean, right now, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, if it wasn't for the Eternals, would be the lowest rated movie in Marvel right now, even lower than Thor's Dark World.
Yeah, they haven't had a hit since Endgame. It's true. They haven't had a hit.
And the, and outside of Guardians, because people are just going because you've already advertised that it's the end for
Yeah.
that story.
Uh-huh.
People are just going to go to see the end. They're not going to go see Marvels because that one. I mean, if you were so confident in that movie, you wouldn't have delayed it 4
Guardians.
times.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know about you, but I'm excited.
I know a lot of people are freaking out
It's
about
exciting.
that. I don't think she was attractive in the first place.
Doesn't
So
matter, dude.
whatever.
That is a
I
female
mean,
body. That is a boy
I get the
with
point.
a
They
dad bod.
they manned it up. They shouldn't have done that.
It's
They
ridiculously
they
stupid.
shouldn't have. It's stupid, but again,
Well, I thought
we've been saying they was going to do this for years. Nobody
right,
should be
but
shocked about it.
when I first saw this, I thought that someone had digitally messed with it to make a meme. But it's not. It's an actual
No,
freaking
they
poster,
did
dude.
no, they digitally did that and brought it on themselves.
Yeah, Disney did this. So
Yes.
whatever.
So
But
I don't feel sorry for them for that kind of stupid
fair
shit.
enough, fair enough. But it is a shame. Because what they really should have done, and we've all said I had our own opinions, but they should have, sure, if you want to do your few things, give a shot at it. They, fail or not, and whatever. But they should have been quietly here during phase 4, introduce the Morlocks, and just had a few stories, maybe do a Disney Plus series about the Morlocks, dealing with the Marauders, and you can
Look,
slow feed the X-Men coming in, right?
they
Yep.
had opportunities to do a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They could have used WandaVision as a reverse House of M, but they didn't.
And they even teased that that's what they were doing too.
They
I don't know what happened there because that's what they teased. They can pretend they did it all they want. In every one of the interviews out there, you had her talking about House M. You had other people talking about House M.
Right.
How they were excited. How they were excited because of the House
It
of
would
M
have been fun.
storyline.
Yeah.
And then they just didn't do it. Like
Yeah,
what?
because
Why?
because it made a woman. I don't know, dude. I have no. They're dumb. Elrod says Marvel movies don't flop. The audience knows this on Disney Plus. So why pay $100 at a theater when they can stay home, be lazy, and watch it for free? Fair. But
They're not
dude,
watching it on Disney Plus either.
because they're down 5 million subscribers so far. So
I mean, yeah, I mean that's a nice theory. If that was the case, that's not the case
I'm sure
either.
there's some truth to it. Yeah.
But they're not. No, they're not. They've been putting out the. They finally started putting out some of the numbers, and a lot of the Marvel shit didn't even register.
Yeah, but dude, I haven't been to a movie theater in years.
I haven't either,
Personally.
but I mean, still.
Well, last year was actually a pretty good year, if for my taste, especially in movies. I can't complain about last year, even though there was some nonsense. But as far as Marvel goes, the last Marvel movie I had any interest in seeing was the Spider-Man movie. The last Spider-Man
That was a good
movie, and it was
family movie, actually. It was
a
fun.
very good movie.
Yeah.
But other than that, nothing they've put out since Endgame have I really had any interest in even going to see. And I only wanted to go see Endgame because I just had a feeling it was going to be bad. And I kept saying it, Chester. I had a feeling they were going to screw it up. And I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Because they nailed Infinity War.
Well, I got
just had a
yelled at
feeling.
when Endgame came out, and I said that movie sucked, and it was like, "You're stupid, Chester." I was actually called stupid.
I was still shocked at how bad it was. I think I was in
Eric
shock.
did it. I blame Eric.
Yeah. I think it was Eric. I think you're right. He was very upset at you.
Yeah.
But I was in shock, and you actually worked me through that and made me realize the reason why I was so shocked is because I was so pissed at what they did to Thor and to all the men. To be honest, the only one who actually came out of that looking good was Ant-Man. He's the only one, and they screwed that up. So
Right.
so much for that.
Yeah. No. That's true. But yeah, I don't know where we go from here. To be honest with you, I'm not even I didn't even consider going to see Ant-Man. I have no interest. My wife has no interest in seeing it, and we enjoyed these movies, but we're kind of done. Well, I
The
don't
only
care
reason
what
I
they do
kinda
with Star
wanted to-
Wars. Don't care what they do with Marvel. No, I'm not. I'm out.
Yep. The only reason I kind of wanted to at all was because I kept hearing how terrible it was, and I was
Yeah.
like, it can't be that
I'm
bad,
not- I
right?
have
Like
no-
it can't be that bad.
Dude, there's too
And then I
little
was like,
time in life to hate watch shit. There's too
That's
little
true.
time in life.
That's
Don't
exactly
waste your
true.
time, dude.
It's why I
I
didn't waste my time on like the Rings of Power or any of that stuff. Like there ain't enough time in my life left.
Go
To
watch
watch
an
things
old
like
bad
this.
B movie.
Yeah.
Especially when it's got Bruce Campbell in it. Those are good.
I was initially interested in Ant-Man, but like the more you heard about it, the more news about it came out. It's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna skip this because it was just more of the same shit. It was more the same. Reshooting half the movie because you didn't have a fucking actual script. You just had like some outline. You just had some bullet points that somebody probably wrote on a napkin during lunch.
Yeah, no,
That
the writing is horrible these days. I started out with a story about that. This right here, but Eric says this is the guy that's going to be Reed Richards. How?
Oh,
Why
hell no.
would you insult his heritage by calling him Reed and or Richards?
Look, Marvel's got 2 shots to get the fans back because there's nothing that they're gonna put out outside of Guardians this year that's gonna come close to making money. Their last 2 shots are fucking Fantastic Four and the X-Men. That's it. If they fuck up either one of those, they're done.
And they're
They'll be
going
even
to.
worse off than
It's
DC.
already it's guaranteed, dude. But I don't
Well, then they're
understand how
done.
this guy could ever be Reed Richards. I mean, you're literally insulting his heritage. This is racism, making him a Reed Richards. Now, you know who
Yeah.
he might be actually cool as? It would be interesting to see him play Ra's al Ghul.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's the look.
especially yeah, he has the look, dude. And if he's a good actor, he looks familiar. But he's clearly Indian. But he could do Ra's al Ghul maybe if he's really good. Because keep in mind, a lot of times in the comic they do make Ra's look a little older. But you know
Yeah,
he has the Lazarus pit. He can be a young looking guy, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, so but Reed Richards, literally, they don't think about the actual other side of the racism because this is an Indian man. He might well be proud of his Indian heritage, and why not, right? I mean, Jesus, the oldest contiguous society on earth, right? And they've had amazing history and amazing things they've done. So why wouldn't he be proud? But you're going to make him play a white man? Huh?
Yep.
They never think about this, right? It's always we got to get them whiteys, and that's another thing we were talking about earlier. If you're going to start rereading shit, well, why don't we go back to the book from the movie adaptation of New Jack City? How many times you got to remove the word cracker from that book? I mean, honestly.
None. We need
Tit
every last cracker in there.
Fair enough. Tit for tat, though.
Yep.
And that was another thing it showed me with these dumbasses because they had a robot in here they named Casper, a black man naming something Casper, right? And it's like, were they aware of what that term means? Because, like I said, this is being titled with a Japanese name on it, but this is American made. It's American thinking. And are they aware that Casper is just another term like cracker to talk to about the white dead person? Just like the Hawaiians call us hapahauli, which means zombie or walking dead. How
Yep.
friendly they are. Yeah. So these
Well, I
people,
mean, if you've been to a Walmart recently, that is an accurate term.
cracker, Casper,
No, Howley.
Howley.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Fair enough. I've been corrected. I am a dead zombie. Anyway, let's move on to the next
Well,
story here.
only if you're in Walmart wearing like your pajamas and like fuzzy slippers with like half your head
Yeah,
shaved.
what is up with that, dude? My wife and I have seen a couple of videos, and it's just hilarious.
I
It's like,
can't
what
stand it.
the hell is going on?
Bro, we went to a restaurant yesterday morning. We went just to go get some breakfast, right? Little diner we like to go to called Nick's. And basically everybody in there, especially the younger people, the older people weren't, but the younger people were all in pajamas. Like pajamas. Pajama with slippers on
Yeah, what
in a
happened,
restaurant.
dude? Dude, I can't even walk out the house without a button up on to take the garbage out.
Yeah. Yeah.
How in the hell? I mean, what happened? You don't walk.
The
You dress for success, right? You don't go into
yeah.
public like that, dude. You don't.
Well,
It
because
was
think
one of
about it. What if
Success.
you
That's for working people. We don't do that in this country. We
dude.
beg
what if
we beg the rich people to give us free shit
That
that they
that's
work
what if
for.
it's one of the things
the
that
ones I'm
annoyed.
talking about specifically was three young girls, probably high school, maybe a little older, uh, wearing sleeping clothes, and I just was completely flabbergasted at it. I shouldn't be anymore, but I mean, think about it. What if they had ran into somebody who would have, married them, or would have fallen in love, or taken them seriously, or even job prospects, somebody who maybe one day is going to hire them, and they're like, I remember you. I remember how you were dressed. That kind of stuff
It's
happens.
weird. I actually teach my high school kids when prepping them for college because I try to give them information and knowledge, help them out, right? Because
Yep.
I'll tell them stuff that their parents and teachers won't tell them, right? And that's one of the things I'll talk about is, hey, first impressions are real. Take it seriously, right?
Yep.
I mean, you go wear with that kind of crazy stuff you want to wear when you're out with your friends on the town, I suppose. But when you go to that job interview, you better be dressed inside the system. You might, I don't care if you like the system. It is what it is, right? You better be dressed up
It's just,
and make that first impression. I teach the kids this.
bro, people even go to funerals now. Funerals
No,
in nonsense.
it's
And I'm
ridiculous.
like, why even have the funeral then? Like, what's the point of this ceremony if we're all going to show up in our evening wear? Like, what are we doing?
It's stupid. It's one of the things that irritated the hell out of me living in Hawaii. Hawaii is not a place for me, by the way. It is not. I cannot stand that. You know how pedantic and meticulous I am, right? That place is an absolute eyesore. You know how many people walk around in shorts, scummy t-shirts, and flip-flops? Fucking flip-flops. I mean, if you're on the beach, fine. But otherwise, in the boardroom, oh my God, dude, I hate that place.
Oh, Chester, you have not been to
I believe
America.
we have found his button, ladies and
Chester, I
gentlemen.
want you to understand something. You can buy right now on the internet. Right now, you can find these $1,000 pairs of flip flops.
Yeah, no, they go to hell. This is why terrorism exists.
This is why the terrorists not only are winning, probably already have won, and they
Yeah,
deserve to win. This is
yeah,
why. This is why.
yeah. No, I've noticed that though, but it's crazy, man. I mean, I never go into public unless I am dressed appropriately, ever. Now, I have orchestrated different outfits for different things I do, like when I teach the kids at my at Eikaiwa, at my private school. I wear a button up and I have like cargo. I kind of created an outfit that is semi-casual, right? Because I'm dealing with the kids. If I'm at the university, it's a suit, of course. I personally prefer three piece because I like the vest because I can be. It's like you remember that show Bones and it had the angel actor and he used to
Yep.
express himself with his socks, right?
Yes.
I don't. I express myself with my vest.
I see.
hmm hmm hmm
I
hmm
see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool when you have a black
See,
suit on and then you unbutton it and it's got an Akira vest. It's pretty cool, dude.
Chester, are you a warm blood or a cold blood? You're
Meaning,
Celt, so you're probably a warm blood, right? You don't get cold very easily.
no, I don't. It's got to be like
Yeah.
-5 or something like that.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I just today we went for a walk, for like an exercise walk in the park, and I had a vest on just in case it got windy, and shorts, and like an outside vest, like an outdoorsman vest.
Yeah, sure.
And a lot of people. We're literally walking by people in full on winter garb
Oh yeah.
because it was 50 degrees outside. So to me, that's spring. I'm like, all right, let's go. Nice and warm. It's sunny. I'm starting to sweat. Everybody else is freezing still. But my point is the only main reason why I wouldn't wear a suit everywhere or wouldn't want to is because I just get too hot. I would just melt. Oh, I can just thinking about it, I'm starting to sweat. I'm just a
Yeah,
warm
no,
blood.
it
Like my
yeah,
whole family is.
it's
We're
okay, but
warm
they don't understand it. I get the Hansuda here all the time, dude.
blooded.
Which this means half sleeves because it's literally like 40 degrees out. It's like the worst
Yeah,
it gets. And why would I'm going from my house to a car to a car to a building. Why would I
yeah,
need any gear? Because
that's right.
that's for us, that's, winter, it's winter gear. It's gear.
That's right. Yeah,
It's survival, right? So, but it's okay. But I understand that I'm physiologically different than they are. They
there's a
don't get
meme
it
out
though.
there where it's supposedly a black guy talking. One of these woke black men, and he's talking about how white people, we know when you're outside in shorts in 40-degree weather that's a racial flex. And the white guy
Is it?
answers him. He's like, yeah, yeah, yes, it is.
Sure. Yeah, but for
Well,
the
we're not cold. What do you want from us?
well, the black people can certainly learn to adjust to the cold, but that's not their main problem. The problem is they have way too much melanin, and when you live in northern climes like we do, you don't get as much sun, right? That's
Right.
kind of why we're white, probably, right?
Mhm.
But there's just go to Denmark. You literally have to buy a sun lamp for your house because there's so little sunlight. This is
Right.
where they struggle because they have way too much melanin, and therefore they can't pick up the subtle sun ray that we can, and they get sick. Right? They have to
Yep.
take special drugs to to make sure they get their vitamin D and stuff like that. That's the big issue for the darker
And
your
I can
melanin,
absorb it just
it's a
fine, and even
struggle.
I take vitamin D because
Well, you
vitamin
don't have
D
to though. You're a white
is
person.
so good for you, though. But
Yeah, sure.
vitamin D is so good for you. You literally can't have too much of it. Just have it.
Yeah,
Just
but
get some vitamins in you. It's not going to hurt you. There's so many benefits to vitamin D. Not only is it good to fight off pathogens in your immune system, it literally helps you burn fat. It helps you build muscle. Like there's no
sure.
downside to vitamin
But
D.
sure. No, it is certainly beneficial, but you have to keep in mind that the Celtic peoples, we, all the different groups have different physiologies, right? And
Yes.
we're not the same. It's nonsense. It's only skin deep that's not true, right? Although I understand the conception that racism's bad, sure, but it's not true. You actually produce your own vitamin D. You don't need the sun
Yeah.
at all. You can live in a cave. I mean,
Exactly.
seriously, the Celts, we're the only group that makes our own vitamin D. Everyone else needs
Yep.
the sun to activate it.
I don't
But
know because of my unique genetic history, because I'm not a pure
well,
blood like
it's
you.
possible.
Uh,
Yeah.
I might need it. I don't know, but there's no point not. There's like I said, there's no downside to it. I take a multivitamin with it in it. There's literally no reason not to. Like, it has zinc in it. It has vitamin C. It has something else I can't remember. It has all kinds of stuff in it. All of these things are very, very good for men, especially, and
Sure.
they're also very good for women. Zinc,
Yeah.
especially. Men, you need your zinc. If you're not eating enough meat, which a lot of us aren't nowadays, believe it or not, you need to get on some zinc supplements. Not too much. You only need 20 to 40 milligrams a day at most.
Yep.
But you need to get on it
You
because
know,
it's very good for you.
I take
Very
zinc
good.
all the time, and one of the things
Oh,
that helps, and this is for Eric, when you get a little bit older, holding or an erection for a longer time becomes harder.
wait, why is that
Yeah.
for Eric?
Because, but taking zinc daily is good for many things, but it also helps with that issue. Yeah,
It does.
it
It
does. Yeah.
does. Makes Peter very happy.
It does.
Makes him a happy boy.
And, he lasts longer, which is good
Oh,
because this is a little thing that tells you how actual bullshit Hollywood is. Because the older a male gets, the harder it is for him to actually ejaculate.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sadly.
I know that it's like, we have 2 minutes, the 2 minute joke, right? That's
Yeah, I don't.
maybe if they're
I don't know how
12.
true that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever known anybody who
No,
had that issue.
because
Let's
it
put it
doesn't
that way.
work like that. And of course, as you get older, it becomes an issue.
I do. Canada's
Yeah,
correct. I do, in fact, love the D. The vitamin D. I love it.
he
Can't get enough.
does. He does. He loves the D. Anyway, we got to move on. It's Grimlock. Stop derailing the channel. All right. We get to do a top 10 though.
Uh-oh. I don't
Uh-oh.
like one of those
From
in
Frank.
that already. Let's
Frank,
see.
top 10
Oh,
most entertaining buddy cop films ever. And that is a great genre. I like that. Grimlock loves that genre particularly because
I think everybody
Actually,
has
I-
at
actually,
least
I do.
one.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
you. I
there
know
has
you
to
do.
be at least one buddy cop movie everybody likes because they're just
Oh no, they're great.
It's such a simple premise and it works. Just works. It just works.
It does. And honestly, the thing you're hating here with the bunny, I didn't hate that movie. It was fine.
I didn't hate it
I'll be
either,
honest.
but top 10?
The buddy cop movie series I don't give a shit for is Bad Boys. Fuck Michael Bay.
Yeah, the first one was good. Yeah, you're
Fuck
right.
his ancestry. Fuck his future generations.
Fair.
I hope
His
he
whole
has an. I
bloodline.
hope,
He's coming
yeah,
for
I
it.
hope,
Okay.
I
Now,
hope he has an inoperable tumor
I love
by
Blue
his
Streak.
paint.
I love Blue Streak. I really do.
That
It's
is a
not a
great one.
great movie by any sense of the word,
No.
but it's so fun. It's so
it is
fun.
fun. Martin Lawrence and whatever that one is, I can't remember. They kind of get muddled in my head.
Whatever that one.
But it is a fun
Well, we had a
little
good
movie.
run. We're getting struck again, that's for
But
sure.
I don't know how it could be in the
He
top
just
10
got it
though.
back.
I know. I don't. How could this be in the top 10 though? Come on, dude.
That's
no, I
that's
wouldn't put
Frank.
it top 10.
That's Frank showing his age.
Yeah.
That's not top 10. It's fun though. I love Blue
It is.
Streak. It's
It
one of
is.
those
It is.
movies that's rewatchable because it's so easy to watch. and it's a great like background movie if you're doing something else, playing a video game or something. It's just one of those type of movies you don't need a great attention span for, and that's I enjoy that. I think
Yeah.
more movies need to be that.
Yeah, it's just about some valuable has been left in the ceiling of a police station that's been renovated, and he's trying to figure a way to get in and get it back, and therefore I think he fakes himself being a cop or something like that.
Yes.
But what's the situation in Taiwan? Roger asks. Well, the good thing is China, the CCP, are in such dire straits with everything, and of course, then now they've also officially come out and said that they support Russia. I don't think they have time to worry about Taiwan right now. That's a good
Yeah.
thing. They'll get back to it.
I can see
Anyway,
Russia being the good guys again. Ah,
well, and it kills me because I just saw this thing with Putin the other day where gave a pretty good speech actually, which he usually does. But
he's pretty.
yeah, he is good with that. But the thing is, let's just for half a second with Putin. All right, let's assume that all the rhetoric about him is true. He's the most
Yeah.
evil human since the Adolf, the German
Since the
painter,
Adolf.
right?
Yeah.
He's
Yes,
the
the
most
German
evil
painter,
thing
yeah.
ever, right? Ever. Let's assume all of that is true, right?
Yeah.
Everything the West is doing is making him right, is giving him the
Yeah.
stance of justice. He stands with
Right.
justice. Everything they're doing. So
Vindicating.
it shows you how dumb they are because they're actually validating their
Yeah.
supposed enemy. It's like,
That's
you
right.
idiots.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a for or against on Putin, but for most people nowadays, that means you're for, not most people,
I guess,
lefties.
yes.
That means you're for Putin if you're just not against Putin. I think Putin is the best of a bad situation, and that situation is Russia. Russia itself is a crazy place full of crazy people.
Well, yeah.
So a person like Putin is needed to keep Russia in
Well,
line.
he is the gateway,
Yeah.
and he is the gatekeeper. And the thing with it is, because they keep talking about wanting to get him killed off and stuff, dude. If you lose Putin, it's going to get way
Oh,
worse.
way
He's
worse.
the only one
All these
trying to hold the
people
floodgates back. He's the only one
There's
doing
people
that.
out here thinking that he's gonna take Ukraine and then he's gonna invade Poland and he's gonna invade over here and this and that and he might, but I guarantee he
Well, they're
might.
forcing him
But I can
to.
tell you
They're
one thing
forcing
for
him.
sure. Tell you one thing for sure. The next guy in line from Putin definitely will.
Oh yeah,
And
they're
Putin's just
way
a
more
maybe.
hardcore than him. He's way
Yes.
more sensible.
Yes.
But the
Yes.
thing is, with what's going on, they've given them no opportunity, no alternative other than to take Ukraine,
Keep
right?
escalating.
They
Keep
just keep
escalating.
escalating the situation.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking about buddy cops. Blue Streak
Yeah.
shouldn't be on the
Yeah.
list, Frank. God damn it.
I like Putin and Zelensky. It'd be a great movie.
Yeah,
Zootopia.
I don't know.
Zootopia, I
It's
wouldn't put it top
okay.
10. It's fine. It's fun. It actually has a pretty good moral message. But and it's a fun little animated movie. You can't really call these kids movies anymore because they're not really written for kids anymore. But it's fine. It's fine. It's one of the last movies they've put out that was, really watchable in that
Fair.
format,
Grimlock.
genre, animation.
Grimlock.
Yes, sir.
Did you want to diddle the bunny?
No.
Okay, that's good. Just checking.
That
Okay.
Fox does though. Look at that look.
He
What is
does.
that?
He does.
What is that animation?
It's
What are we doing
definitely
here, guys?
furry love going on in this thing. But once again, these aren't bad choices. I just don't know if they're top 10.
Yeah.
But so nothing to be too angry yet. Turner and
Now
Hooch,
this I would agree
absolutely.
with.
Yeah, great fun
Yes.
movie. And of course, it's a buddy cop where one of the cops is a dog.
Is a puppy dog
Yeah,
and a big boy, big old good boy.
yeah.
It's such a good movie. If you've never
It's
seen
fun.
Turner and Hooch, which
Yeah.
I'm sure most of our audience probably has, go get it, go watch it, go find it. So I'm sure it's on one of the streaming services somewhere. Watch it and just enjoy Tom Hanks and his glory. This was Tom Hanks before he became serious actor Tom Hanks.
Yes.
And he was just so much. I think he was better at this, at the lighthearted stuff, than
Yeah,
he
it's
is the
fun.
serious stuff.
Yeah. No, I like Big, that era.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's once again, a fun movie, and that's what it should be. Buddy cop films should be fun, and it is fun. This one definitely deserves to be on the list, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It's
21
probably the
Jump
right
Street.
spot too.
Yeah, once again, these are comedies.
Mm,
I love 21 Jump Street.
You
But
talk about the remake, the comedic remake. Yeah,
yes, the
yeah.
comedic
I never
remake.
saw
I
it.
don't really like the original. It's too. I don't know. It's not. I'm not
Well,
a fan.
it's for 12-year-old girls. The original
Yeah.
Johnny Depp is what made him famous. It's it's for little girls, and that's fine.
But this one and its sequel, I would put them together because they basically run into each other. I think they're fine. I would put them. I would if I was going to put them in the top 10, they'd probably be at 9 or 10. But I think they're some of the last genuine comedies we got since Hollywood decided comedy was not allowed anymore.
Mm.
And yeah, I think they're fine. It was old Channing Tatum. My wife can never say his name right. I find that adorable. And Mr. Jonah here, probably, in my opinion, as far as Jonah Hill and his comedic roles, his best one where he is not just a weirdo, basically. Like it's a more serious comedic role. He's much more of a normal person. Uh, and I think it's a pretty good movie, actually. I haven't watched it in years, probably almost a decade. Came out in 2012, so yeah, probably pretty close.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really good movie.
Well, like I said, I've never seen it, so I don't really know. But Grimlock, you see this one?
No, this was around the time where Jonah Hill was starting to get on my fucking nerves.
Well,
Yep.
he kind of got on
Yep.
my nerves day one, so.
Yes. But it's got my boy Ice Cube in it, and he is amazing as the chief of police. So, or he might just be their captain, whatever he is. He's amazing at it, and I love. He basically the joke is he's angry black captain, but he's like he leans all the way into it, and it's so good. It's so funny.
Good.
He's an underrated actor.
Well,
my
he is
boy Ice.
straight out of Compton, though. Yeah.
Just ask him.
Yeah, just ask him. But anyway, cool. I have heard good things. I just never saw it.
Check it out. I think you might like it.
Yes,
Yes.
please,
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was a great pairing. It's done now. You can't go back and do it. He's way too old and he's way too cucked. But
Yeah.
this
And
series
Will
was
was still
great.
cool.
Well, all three of them are fun. That's
Yeah.
rare. They all three are fun. And it's a great little fun premise and interesting. Everything we've seen so far is comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't got. I have a feeling we're about to see some more serious takes, but often the buddy cop stuff it does end up just as comedic. It's
Yeah,
an easy
yeah,
premise.
it's
You know,
fine.
it's Odd Couple,
It
just
is.
in cop
Of course,
format.
we know what number one's going to be anyway. So,
Yeah.
but Men in Black, great fun. If you haven't ever seen a Men in Black movie, go watch it. They're great fun, dude.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
a good time. time.
So, oh, wow.
Wow. I guess I don't know what number one was going to be because
Frank.
that's nonsensical.
You know, Grimlock, Frank's not really pissing us off today yet. Have you noticed that? This
I think that just changed.
Yeah, I think it did.
How's it?
How is this not number one? This is you could almost argue the inception. It's not. It's nowhere near the inception, but it's what made it a moneymaker, right? Because you go back to the old Odd Couple from the early '60s, I think it was early '60s.
Yeah.
The old Odd Couple.
The original movie, yeah.
Yeah, they're
The
not
60s.
cops, but the that premise.
Same premise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lethal Weapon, of course. Yeah, I think you had Cagney and Lacey before this, and Starsky and Hutch and TV stuff. But this
Yeah.
one is the one that made it a moneymaker. It's not only great movie, it's also important in cinema history in that
Yeah.
regards. And it's freaking awesome. I mean, come on, Murtaugh Riggs, Danny Glover kills this. He's the perfect straight man
Yep.
to Mel Gibson's lunacy. It's
Complete lunatic too in that
yeah,
first movie.
and
He's
it's
nuts. He's gone.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my I love Mel. He's really great, but I think Danny's the most important character in the series.
He is. The straight man's always the most important
It's
character.
true.
Because it's the hardest one to play. It's harder than the villain. It's harder than the psycho. It's really hard to come off as sensible in a world that's going crazy.
True.
And that's what he has to do. He has to be the likable everyman to the other guys all being lunatics.
Right.
And he does it. He kills
does.
it. I mean, you
And-
absolutely sympathize and empathize with him throughout this movie.
And he was such a badass in this that someone thought he would be good in a Predator movie.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
decision.
It was
was
a
made.
choice. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he is a big old dude, and he's in good shape actually in these movies. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
But he's a big old buff dude. But yeah, he doesn't sell that though. That's not how he sells.
He doesn't
Grimlock,
have that energy.
any love for Lethal Weapon?
It's a great friend. It was a great series. I mean, I'm glad they're not trying to fuck with it. I'm sure they will in time.
Oh, they have. You didn't see the Lethal Weapon TV show, huh?
a
Yeah,
lot.
they did a reboot.
A lot of people did like
That's
that
bad,
series.
dude. It's bad.
I don't know. I never saw it.
It's
So
very bad acting. It's very
My
poor.
question is why did they only make 4 of them? The 4th one bomb?
No, they just got too damn sappy, dude.
I mean, they did, but if they were making money, you know, Hollywood, they already made 4 of them for crying out loud. Like,
And Li Ling Chang was awesome in the 4th one, dude. He was badass. It was nice to see him in that, and he did such a good job. Get buffed
Yes.
his career too for a little while.
yeah, this should be number 1. In all
Yeah, it should
honesty,
be.
let's
Well,
be
let's
honest.
see. Maybe it's
the
Lethal Weapon 2.
defining one of the genre.
It is important. It
So-
is. That's true. Let's see. Oh,
There's Bad Boys. And what is number 1?
the original
Oh.
was fun. I have to agree. They got real dumb after that, but the first one was
Yeah.
fun. These two work together, and once again, Will does his Will thing, and it can be very entertaining. But Martin Lawrence is the essential member of this team.
Yes.
He is, and he's on the list twice so far. That's kind of interesting. But
Well-
Martin is so
Will.
important in this movie because Will needs something to rein it in, and Martin does a good job.
Yep. And I would say, because even at the time, this is what they were telling him. Because Will, yeah, he was a star and he was famous, but he hadn't really become a movie star yet. This was kind of the
No.
big one for him.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, they wanted him to run. You know the scene where he runs with his shirt open and he's chasing the car and all that.
Right.
That was originally he was supposed to just be clothed or whatever. And the director or one of the producers, somebody told him, "Hey, why don't we open his shirt up?" And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "Trust me, I'm gonna make you a star." And for most of the girls who watch this movie, that's the scene they remember with Will Smith running around with his shirt open, looking all hot and bothered, and it worked. It made him a star. Because
Well,
this movie isn't a good movie, like objectively, but it works. It got these guys with you had 2 big name, a guy coming up and a guy who had basically established himself, but was also coming up in movies, and they had great chemistry, and it
yeah,
was
the
perfect.
chemistry was great.
The buddy cop formula was perfect here because they had great chemistry.
Mhm.
And
And-
in all honesty, it's basically just like most buddy cops, and that's why Lethal Weapon is the definitive version of it, in my opinion. It's just Lethal Weapon again, but with black people and funnier. Like that's all
It's
it is.
true. It's true, and it's the only Michael Bay movie I know that's tolerable.
The Rock.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah. He got 2 in the 90s,
Yeah,
and then
but
everybody said he was great.
but Sean Connery was in charge over there. You know it. Sean was
well, of
like,
course.
slapping
Sean was
people
in it,
about the
so-
head and shoulders. You know he was.
Yeah.
Grimlock.
Sean
would you
Connery's
like to
been in
yell?
bad movies, but there's never been a bad movie about Sean Connery. That's all I'm going to say.
Fair.
If he's a central figure, movie's great.
The other guys, you're probably right, Captain Canada. Grimlock, would you like to scream at Michael Bay again?
like, yeah.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
hope every time he pisses, it burns.
Well, that's called syphilis.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder if that's a banned word. Am I allowed to say syphilis? Okay.
I hope so.
And just play.
Wow.
It's a tease.
Wow.
I mean, I love Rush Hour as well. Rush Hour.
How the fuck
great.
is I like Rush Hour, but how the fuck
But
is that
above
over
Lethal
Lethal
Weapon?
Weapon?
It should be 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
definitely not above Lethal Weapon. They're making another one right now. We'll see how that turns out because Jackie's like $1 million. But I love the first Rush Hour movie. And I didn't realize it came out in '98. Damn.
It's a
He's old as hell.
perfect vehicle for Jackie Chan. Because one thing that a lot of people don't understand about Jackie is he is actually bigger than any of the actors we've had on this list worldwide.
Yep.
Maybe not in America, but worldwide, Jackie Chan is
You think
legend.
even than Will? Even than old
Yeah,
Will
no, he's
Smith?
definitely bigger than Will. Jackie Chan
Yeah.
is legend. Billions
That's
of
true.
people know and love Jackie Chan. It's no joke. And his Hong Kong movies are dumb. Let's be fair. They're
Yes.
stupid. The Chinese sense of comedy is just not equal to Western sensibilities. It's not. It's
Yes.
goofy, slapstick, dumb. It's just dumb. It's like freaking flying circus on steroids. Dumb, right? And that's the whole point of British comedy is dumb, right? So
Right.
it doesn't translate well, right? The action's freaking spectacular. Jackie's a goddamn phenom. However, it doesn't translate. Rush Hour is taking a guy who has great comedic timing in both of them, actually, but with Jackie Chan and putting him in something that the majority of the well, not the majority, well, yeah, well, half of the planet can get, and the other half of the planet can get too. So it's a perfect vehicle for Jackie, because it makes him funny to a Western audience where normally it's just kind of goofy. So and Chris Tucker, I think his name is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And he's once again essential in this because he is the not the straight man, he's the comedy, but in this case the comedy guy is holding it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. I really really love Rush Hour. I think I agree with basically everything Chester said there. Probably everything he said. And but even still, it's not number two. Like that's silliness. That's just silliness.
It is
Those are
weird.
silly
Yeah.
words from
Yeah.
a silly
And
person.
I know Chris Tucker had trouble with the word gefilte fish.
Yes.
He couldn't say that. But it is
Mm.
also good because Jackie's had his scandals and his issues. But one thing Jackie, I don't know about Chris, maybe him too, but I don't know Chris. I know Jackie. He's actually great with kids. And
Yeah.
the first or second one, I think it was this one here, where the little girl in there, she's older now, and she spoke about her experience and how happy she was to have Jackie around because he's like several of these kind of older actors. They look out for the kids on set, and they're very fatherly to them. And he's really Jackie's great with kids, which is too bad his own children turned out so screwed up
Yeah.
because his kids are absolutely screwed up, and it's a shame because we know from other kids how great he is with children. But anyway, let's see. You're probably right. It's the other guys. Oh, dude, what about Eddie Murphy though? Oh,
Well, there you go.
all
Other guys
right.
didn't even
Right.
make the cut,
Okay.
which is silliness to me as well. There's a whole list of movies that didn't make this cut. 48 Hours being
Uh,
number one, I would say no. Lethal Weapon should be number one, but 48 Hours probably is number two or three.
It's a
It's
good
really
movie
good.
though. But
Yeah.
but
yeah.
yeah, because you see, this is much older than Lethal Weapon, right? But Lethal Weapon is what made the genre a thing, and why we have a million buddy cop films now. It's it's
Yes.
it's it's Lethal Weapon that did that. 40 Hours is older, and I love it. I love the concept, but this
Um,
is not a buddy cop film.
I think this one predates um Lethal Weapon by I think a year or two, but it should be on this list. Running Scared with Billy Crystal
Oh, that is
Yep.
great.
and Gregory
Yeah.
Hines.
That is great. Yeah.
Should be on this should be up here, but it's not.
Where's Dragnet
Throwing that
with
out there.
Dan Aykroyd? That thing is awesome.
Yep.
But
Yep.
this,
There's
but
so many. There's
there
so
are.
many.
There are. And Lethal Weapon started it all. It should be number one. I'm not so mad at Frank today, though. But the problem
No,
with
this
this
list
being
isn't
number
terrible.
one, this is not a buddy cop film. In no way. Nick Nolte is the cop. Eddie Murphy is an
Yep.
actual criminal. There's no two cops here. There's one
Right.
cop
No.
and one criminal, right?
Yes.
I mean, you could have sold me on Eddie's Beverly Hill Cop as being buddy cop with what's the tall skinny white guy and the
Oh, I
and
can't remember
the
his
the
name, but
balding
yes.
fat guy that it's they're
Yes.
you know what I mean. What's his name? Um that's a great formula, but he's not a cop, dude.
No. I agree. If we're being very, very specific, then you're correct. It's not even really a buddy cop movie. I think he's being
No.
very
Yep.
vague with the term,
Well, I
meaning
No.
mean,
it's more like an odd
two
couple situation.
cops,
Yeah,
two
odd couple action
cops,
movies.
two cops,
Yeah,
two
two basically
cops.
cops,
Yeah, I
two
mean,
cops,
everything else, technically
two cops. Technically, yes.
not two cops. Here's another criminal.
Yep.
here's the not two
And a criminal.
cops, yeah, and a criminal.
Right.
So we got 3 of those that don't really
But
fit
at
the.
least the premise of Blue Streak is he's pretending to be a cop.
Yeah, at
So
least
you
there.
can
That's
give it that.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
But but I did love this movie. If you, it is a bit old. If you guys haven't seen 48 Hours, I suggest you go check it out. It's Nick Nolte is freaking awesome. Anyway, and this is Eddie in his prime, dude.
Judge Reinhold. That is
Judge
his name.
Reinhold.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric. Thank
What
you.
a great name, by the way.
Yeah, I
Judge
know.
Reinhold.
Well,
What the hell?
I was talking about his character's name though. But
Yeah, I can't remember it.
but
But there's so
Tango
many.
and Cash.
I'm surprised the movie Starsky and Hutch didn't
Yeah,
make this list.
Starsky and
that was
Hutch isn't
funny.
on here.
Snoop Dogg
you
was in Represent. He was good in that movie, dude. As
Yep.
Honey Bear.
If you're being this loose with the definition, meaning it doesn't even have to be a cop, you could do more Jackie Chan movies. Like
A lot.
there's a few of them where he
Yeah.
does that.
Well,
it-
Well, if you're gonna do the buddy thing and it's not a cop, then Trading Places is number
Huggy
one.
Bear,
Then
sorry,
fuck
not
that.
Honey
Yeah.
Bear, Huggy Bear.
Yeah.
He's great though.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg does a good job in that role. But no, I mean, like to
Yeah,
make
Tango
another
and
good
Cash is
example.
that's another good one.
Well,
Yep.
other than the animated one, there's no male and female team up or female team up here. But speaking of Jackie Chan, his one of his, I forget which one, but one of his police stories is where Michelle Yeoh was brought in. He brought her into the movie world because he saw her talent.
There he goes. Canada got it.
Yeah, Billy and Taggart. That's
Yeah,
right.
Billy. By the way, but his last name is what I need, Captain Canada. Super Cop, Hot Fuzz.
Oh my God, Hot
Police
Fuzz,
Story 3.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, that
Oh.
one. But I mean,
There's so many, bro. Like
yeah,
that's the problem, right? Is we have a lot of options. We're spoiled for choice here.
we are.
But the reality is, I think most people who are, over the age of 30, meaning they are allowed to have an opinion on this, would say Lethal Weapon should be number 1.
Rosewood.
And then number 2, 3, and 4, and 5 is really just depends on your taste more than anything. But I just don't see an argument against Lethal Weapon being the most
it's
important
just too
one.
important. It exploded the genre. It didn't create it, but it exploded it. Rosewood.
Which is usually what happens, right? One comes in later and defines it. Someone
Billy
comes up with the idea.
Rosewood.
Yes.
In a silly little comedy movie, Beverly Hills Cop, what a character development Judge Reinhold's character has. I mean, what an amazing development, character development for Billy Rosewood. It's just a silly little comedy, but they cared. They cared.
Yep.
We don't see a lot of it. And
But no, honestly, the fact that the other guys isn't on this list is odd.
It
really
is.
expect
It should
especially
be.
from
It's
Frank.
once again, it's no cops at all though. It's a bounty
No, the other guy's
hunter.
cops.
Is
No,
he a
you
cop?
must be thinking of a different. No, they're both cops. The other guys is the Will Ferrell movie.
I'm
that we're
talking about Russell Crowe is like a bounty hunter, enforcer type. He's an enforcer type, and he's going after to collect money, and he hooks up with this guy whose arm he broke. That's not the other guys. I thought
It
so.
might be,
I thought
but there
it
might be.
was.
There's 2 of them. I don't know. But no, the other guys movie that I'm talking about is Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, and it's just a buddy cop.
You
movie.
mean the big hit? No, you're
No.
right. Well, the reason I've never seen this, you know why? You know why?
Because it's Will Ferrell.
Fucking Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Wait,
Bro, you should watch that one though. That is a really good movie.
I hit Google and put in buddy cop movies, so I need a consensus here.
Yeah.
Since we're all remember this Alien Nation buddy cop movie or not?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's on this list.
Well, because you have a human cop and you have an alien cop. It's definitely a buddy
Hell,
cop.
he was in a buddy cop movie recently that I can't remember the name of. That was pretty good.
I've got to find this movie I'm thinking about with Russell Crowe.
Here's one that
The Nice
I forgot
Guys.
all about.
Oh, The Nice Guys.
What about this one? The Last Boy Scout.
Oh yeah, no, that's good fun. That's got Damon Wayans and
I
Bruce
forgot
Willis
all
in it,
about
dude.
that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Oh, there's a ton. There's a huge number, dude. I am thinking of The Nice Guys. I love that movie. That movie is awesome. But and I do like you said Matt Damon or Matt Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
Matt
Is that the one with Denzel Washington?
No.
Yeah.
No. The one I'm talking about with Will Ferrell and Marky Mark is the one with The Rock
Okay, that's the
and
other guys.
Yeah, I
Jackman. Yeah,
can't.
where they jump off the mountain.
I
Or they jump
Oh
can't
off the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
building.
yeah,
stand
yeah.
Will Ferrell. I can't stand him. He is
I
so
think
unfunny.
Chester,
He's so
Chester,
unfunny.
trust me in this one. He's the straight man.
Yeah.
He's not the yuck yuck guy. Now there's yuck yuck moments with him because absurdity always happens to the straight man, right? But he's not the yuck yuck guy. Mark is the crazy one. So it's a
Which
different role for him. He's usually the guy trying to be weird or telling the jokes or whatever. It's not really this way. And there's absurd things that he says, but it's just absurdity because of the situation more than anything.
no, no, no,
I
no,
promise you it's good.
no. I will not be tricked. Um, and actually, Mark Wahlberg has put out some. I know he gets a lot of flack, but he's put out some excellent films. His Four Brothers, which I just saw, is really good.
It
And
is.
if you go way, way back
Hmm.
with Lou Diamond Phillips, the big hit, he's wonderful in that, dude.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Mark can act.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's no doubt about it. When he actually is in a role that he likes, The Four Brothers is fantastic. I'm actually shocked that didn't get ever made into some kind of sequel. I don't know what you do with it, but it's so good. It's just such a
It's
solid
really solid.
movie. He's such a
Yeah.
solid character. Um,
Ensemble cast. It's really, really
yeah,
excellent. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm not complaining. I don't want it to be, but I'm just surprised that somebody didn't ever pitch some kind of sequel for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Same with the other guys that I'm talking about because it was they set up a sequel and just never materialized for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Well, the thing is, I
Okay, does
understand.
this?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Not to interrupt, because does this one count as a buddy cop movie? Rising Sun with Connery and Snipes, because it's on this.
Mm,
Because
that
another buddy cop movie
that
you
has a
could.
weird little cuck turn in it too at the end, huh? Yeah, no,
huh.
I guess it does, but it's not a great movie though. It's weak in many ways, and I can't
Uh,
stand the ending of that
Speaking
movie.
of
I
Wesley
hate that movie.
Snipes,
I was just looking how they had it laid out, and I'm like, is that really a buddy cop
gentlemen.
movie?
Speaking of Wesley Snipes, we're forgetting one that's a sci-fi movie where
Demolition Man.
he's the villain, Demolition Man, with
Yeah, but
Sylvester Stallone and
uh,
Sandra Bullock as the straight man.
yeah, no, that's true.
Honestly,
It
I
is
was gonna
buddy
say
cop.
Money Train.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Demolition Man's a masterpiece. I don't care what anybody says. I love that.
Oh, it's a
That
great
movie's
movie. Great
fantastic.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have another list I was thinking of looking at, and just, this isn't a a list as far as, things of the past. It's just talking about some animated things that are coming out. People might be interested. I thought we'd take a look at before we get out of here. Um,
Yeah.
so, if anybody's fans of the Seven Deadly Sins, Grudge of Edinburgh is coming out, part two. For those of you guys who are interested, my kids did like that run back in the day. We got
Never seen it.
yeah, well, like I said, the kids liked it. Shangri-La Frontier, don't know it. Don't know anything about this one. But all right. It's kind of got weird art in it. All right. But the anime is getting
Interesting.
weird anyway. Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. It's such a weird premise. Have you guys ever seen Jujutsu Kaisen?
I have. It's
Nope.
very strange, but it is beloved. It is
Mm,
huge.
kids love it here.
Absolutely huge manga and anime.
Yeah, no, it's such a weird thing though. But
From one of the proteges of the guy who does Bleach. This is.
oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like I
this is
said, it's
one
a
of his proteges.
mega hit here, and it seems worldwide too. So and this article actually might be interesting to read because they go into great detail in each one. So good on
Yeah.
you, shenanigans. If you're into this kind of stuff. Seven Deadly says for another one. Wow, because this was a popular series, to be fair. And
It's super popular over here on Netflix.
yeah,
Super
and I
popular.
wonder if
Yeah.
this is old stuff that they're just translating and throwing out. Because this is
I don't
old.
know.
My kids were little when they were watching this, dude. They were little. And it's nowhere near as good as Full Metal Alchemist, which is also dealing with the seven deadly sins, right? But I never got into it. It was too kiddie for me, but the kids liked it, Because a lot of this stuff I know, not because I like it, but because I screen everything my children watched when they were little, right?
Mhm.
And so I definitely have seen this. Bleach,
Which again, the second or the continuation, because they
right?
started it. They did like 16 episodes, I think, or 20, something like that, and then they're gonna pick it back up in July.
Yeah, no, my kids were actually watching this the other
The
day when they
animation's
were
amazing,
visiting.
bro.
I actually got to go up to the city and pick my son up today. He's finally done with university. He's done all his moving out of his apartment. He's going to come back and stay with us for I don't know, a month or a month and a half or something, and he's going to Tokyo for training.
Nice.
So I got to go pick the boy
That's
up
awesome.
today. Yeah, no, it is good. And he and his girl have already got everything set up. I'm glad because he said I have to do this, this, and that, and the other. I said, yes, you do. Get on it, right? For setting up your
Right.
life. Him and his girl, and because
Oh
he
yeah.
hasn't announced it officially this summer they're going to, but it's basically his fiance. So
Oh,
well, no, it's all working out well it seems. But and yeah, I told him get on it, and luckily I didn't get a phone call. Dad, I need an extra $1,000 for the moving truck. I didn't get that call. Well, hold on a second, Grimlock. My wife might have got that call,
yeah. That's true.
and I
That's
wouldn't
true.
know. Dad wouldn't know. No one would tell Dad.
Yeah.
Dads are always the last to know.
Man, are
But I
moving
didn't get
trucks
that call.
$1,000 over in Japan? Holy crap! That's
But
Pretty
pricey
cheap.
for a moving truck. I can get a moving truck here for like $20, $30 a day.
yeah, well, welcome to Japan. But you got to keep in mind, I'm also a little happy too because for the past 6 years, of course, 2 years my daughter was in university, he was still in high school, but basically the past 6 years, I have paid rent, cell phones, tuitions, pocket money, food, every expense I have covered for the past 6 years for an additional two humans' lives, right?
Oof.
And even though my daughter is out working in the world, I'm still paying for shit, right?
Uh,
Uh, so
That's what happens when women control the purse strings, Chester.
yeah, well, but I'm just saying, damn, dude. But to be fair, my son is here in Japan. I have to give credit where credit is due. Here in Japan, they do a lot of things better than we do in the West. Some things
Yeah.
less. Socially, they have problems, right? But one of the things they do really, really well is the pipeline from high school to college, college to job. They're really good at this. They're really good. As long as you don't buck the system and be an idiot, you're going to get into a nice job and you're set. You're golden, right? That's
Mhm.
how it works here, and they do a really, really good job of it. And the interesting thing of it, it doesn't matter how many years you study or what your degree is. Everyone in Japan, when they start a new job in that system, starts out with $2,400 a month. Everybody.
Oof.
And as time goes by, depending on your degree, your promotions are bigger. My son will start at that, and within a few years, he'll be making 60, 80 grand a year, right? Because he's an engineer, and he'll get what
Right.
he might get up 250, $300,000 in the long run. Probably will. However, they all start at that system, right? But the thing that my son, maybe he doesn't get it, maybe it's just inadvertent, but because after he finishes training, he's going to be working in Fukuoka where his girl is. They already have their apartment they're renting all set up. They have their little car set up. They're going to buy one of those Toyota Yaris's, which I balked at, but I'm like whatever. But Anyway, they got it all set up, and of course, the thing is, she has been out 2 years because she just got a bachelor's where he stayed in for his master's. They went to well, they didn't go to the same university, but they were near each other. But Anyway, so she's probably already making a little bit money, more money with the government anyway than he's going to start. But there's two incomes together, you see. And
Right.
our world is built on that. And if you're like my daughter who refuses, boys, icky, you're in for a struggle, dude. And you know who pays for it, Grimlock? You know who pays for it?
Dad.
Dad. Dad pays for it.
Well, what? She's like, well, why do I need a man, Dad? I've got you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, it's okay because over here, you know who the man is. If there's not a man around, it's the government. So
Well,
you know,
fair, yeah.
always
But I
that
mean,
option.
how would you enjoy to switch places with me and have to pay for two complete humans' lives? I mean,
No, I don't
every
like.
penny of it, right?
I don't like paying for my own life,
Yeah,
Chester. How do I get on this? You can be my dad. Wait a minute. How do I get in on this? This sounds like a kosher deal. Nice and
unbelievable.
cush.
It's just, you know how I deal with though, Grimlock. I just don't ask.
It's
I did.
easier.
I just don't ask.
Ignorance is bliss, a wise man once said. And
Well,
he is
because
yet to be proven wrong.
well, I don't spend money hardly, right?
Yeah.
I don't spend much money. Maybe I'll spend you know, 20, $30 or $40 a month on some stupid video game or comic or something like that. But I just don't spend money. So I don't really pay attention. I don't even have cash in my pocket. I have a
Yeah.
credit card, and that's it. So
That's your allowance, the credit
that's
card.
whatever. Yeah. But anyway, moving on here. Number 5, Yamada Kun to level 999 no koi wo suru. What?
What
Let
does
me
that mean?
read that. I have no clue what that is.
They're
Huh.
just
Never heard
nonsense
of it.
words.
It looks like one of those romance things.
Man, those are popular. Holy cow! I'm telling,
Well,
those are way more popular than the action stuff. I don't care what anybody says.
girls like it.
Uh,
you know.
my wife watches them all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, she'll be watching. She'll be watching romance animes and shit. And shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Smart. Sell it to the girls instead of trying to change the stuff and say this is for you girls. Don't stop it.
Yep.
Make stuff for them specifically. We are different, dumbasses. The Japanese get that and they make money. Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Cosmo the movie. Wow, this looks
That's
old.
the name.
That looks old. I wonder if this isn't, once again, I think this might be an old Japanese thing they finally translated and released. Interesting. Sailor Moon's been dead forever. But those girls, like my wife's generation or after that, they're all about it.
Oh yeah.
Goddess Cafe Terrace. Ooh,
What is
I
this,
don't think this
Chester?
is
You live
legal on
over there.
YouTube.
Chester, you live over there. What is the weird thing with cafes and host clubs? Is that a thing in Japan?
Yep,
Huh.
yep.
Japan's a crazy place.
They have the cafes, and there's anything you can imagine. It's really bizarre. And then you have the snack. And I have been to so many snacks, even though I would never step foot in one myself. And I worked at strip clubs for a long time.
Yeah.
But I have to go with government because the government always goes to a snack and they drink watered down alcohol and little girls jump around and showing their panties off. It's a weird Japanese take on a strip club, right? But it's systematic. It's how the Japanese do. Like if you go and spend enough money over a long enough time and chat up the right specific girl for long enough, you can get into a what's the
Situation.
yeah, yeah, a paid situation with her. Yeah. But it's just the
Yeah.
system they have. They also have full-on brothels and stuff, but
Yeah.
that's more for
Which I fully endorse. As right wing as I am, I don't understand the weird anti-sex stuff. Like
yeah.
men need sex. It's a
Yep.
necessity for us, especially younger men. It's a craving like hunger, and to deny it to them is, I think, very, very dangerous and risky.
Well,
So
obviously we have evidence.
yes,
We
I mean,
have
look at
tons of
Japan. There's like
statistics for
none of
that.
that problem, and
No,
it's
no.
because if you have the money, you can go take care of
Well,
that
you
and
don't even
that
need
that
much
urge.
money. I play at a club called Copper Raven.
Yeah,
it's built in in the British style. I love playing that club, man. It's so much fun.
yeah,
But anyway, it's set up in the hidden red light district street, and on either side of it, all the way down the street, are soaplands. Soapland is a Japanese brothel, right?
right.
There's just nothing but brothels all the way up and down the street, and then Copper Ravens in the middle of it. It's weird, but I go there all the time and play because I absolutely adore the place. But I go out and have a cigarette, walk around, take a look, and I can see the menu boards, and I can read them, right? And
Yeah,
it's actually cheap. It's like $80
yeah. That's what's that? I mean, nowadays,
for a
especially,
BJ
that's
for a
nothing.
BJ, right?
Yeah, that's a if you wanted to go out to a decent restaurant, you're paying more than $80 nowadays. So that ain't much. That's
Yeah,
not. I mean, it's about as much as a date is gonna be.
I'm
So
I'm knowing the Japanese as well as I do. I kind of, I can't test the theory, unfortunately.
uh
But I would really. How skilled could a Japanese actually be at fellatio, though?
that's a good question.
I
That's
just
a
don't
very
think
good question.
because I understand you guys, watching the
Way to
Tokyo
find out.
culture. Well, I
All right,
probably get in
Chester,
trouble.
fly me
Uh,
over and we'll test
we'll test that.
it.
But I just don't think they'd be very good at it because I mean, aside from all the Tokyo sexualization of things, the Japanese
Yeah,
are not good at the sexy, man. They have to be
they're
trained.
not a sexy people, is what you're
No, you
telling
got
me.
to train them.
They're
Now to
not
be
like the Latins.
no, now to be fair, that's up in Beppu, and there's a lot of foreigners in Beppu. It's a university town. Those places probably there's so many of them. They probably are making money from those kids. So maybe they have been trained up a little bit there. I don't know, but
Practice makes perfect.
sure, these are professional girls, but it just I've had that thought in my head. I was like, I
Well,
didn't.
think about it this way: they have an incentive to be as efficient and quick as possible.
They do.
So you would think they would learn ways of increasing the speed of this activity. Is how
Yeah,
we'll
but
put it.
they're just not freaks, dude.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm very aware. But my point is, they don't have to be necessarily if they can systemize it, because we all know they're basically elves. So if they can systemize it, find a way to do it like a machine, but do it beautifully,
See, you call them elves. I call them dwarves.
same. It depends on your interpretation of the
Well,
myths, right?
I mainly because they are mountain people. They are efficient, like you said, but they also have very short calves and very short arms, which they're quite
That's true.
sensitive about. But I think they're dwarves,
Okay, I was thinking more like your
beardless dwarves.
Santa Claus elves. Those kind of elves,
Oh well, fair,
very
fair.
little ones that are real meticulous. That kind,
This
yeah,
is a sexual anime, though, for sure.
yeah.
Let's see here. What else we got? Let me see here. Wow, they really go in a conversation with it, though. If you're interested in these things, this article looks like it goes into everything. So cool. And then number one, Rudo,
Ooh,
Ru, Rudo, Rudo ni. Well, let me read the. Where's the Japanese? Okay, Rudo ni
Oh,
Kenshi. Uh,
yeah. Oh,
Rudo,
that's a
yeah,
classic.
Rudo Oni Kenshi. This is an old one, I think.
Yeah, and I think they're doing a remake of it basically. Which cool. Bring it with because modern animation it has just gone nuts in
Let
the
me see.
last few years. They've really been killing it from what
So,
I've seen. So maybe that's what we're gonna get here. We're gonna
oh
get
no,
a remaster.
Rudo Uni Kenshi.
Yes.
Uni.
oh.
Huh. Now, what are they trying to say with that? Kenshi is easy. It just means, sword master,
Right.
sword fighter. But what do they want to say? This is not kanji, of course. Oh, let me see. They got something real down, small down below. Let me check it out. Oh God, that's small. Eyes. Uh, uh Ride Katsushi Kono. Hmm. Maybe they're
This is another classic though.
maybe they're trying to say magic wielder. I don't know. I think it's a made up word. Rudo uni. Rudo uni. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's what it says. Rudo uni. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask my wife. I know what the kenshi means, and this right here is not relating to the title. It's just talking about, a dark magical brotherhood or something like that. So okay, yeah, and it does look old. Um, is this a remake?
They're doing like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. They're taking another shot at it. They're gonna try and do it more correct from
This
the
is the
manga.
one with the usually he's blonde and he's got the scar on his face. Yeah, I know this character. Why did they make him a redhead? I thought he was blonde.
I think he was always a redhead or supposed to be. pretty sure.
Huh. Well, this is an old one. Looks like they've remade it. I'll have to ask my wife because this is not kanji. This is hiragana. Or even katakana in the use. So I'll have to ask her because I don't know that word. Anyway,
That's it.
um,
But no, it's a really good one. It's a classic. A lot of modern stuff, including Bleach, for instance, is directly inspired by it because
oh
it's
yeah,
about a traveling swordsman, and everything. Um, I recommend it highly. If you haven't seen the original, which it is old, the original anime is very old now, probably 20, almost 30 years, probably. Um,
yeah, it's
check
an
that
old
out;
one.
it's pretty
Yeah.
good. And
Well,
then this new one, I'm hoping it's gonna be good and live up to the standard of the old one, and then maybe even more correct to the actual source material. Because like Full Metal Alchemist, the original anime of Full Metal Alchemist, they veered off about halfway through and just told their own story because he was still making it. So, and they didn't want to do filler or whatever. So basically, they just made a whole story of filler.
and that's
Um,
not loved, that version.
yeah,
The second one, they got it right.
and the Brotherhood version though, which is a much better story,
Yeah,
is more correct to the actual
right.
manga.
Yeah, well, I do have to get off here and go into work, and I have to go teach a bunch of doctors, and they're all about that age where that Dudo Uni falls into. So I'll ask them what it means.
Mhm. Yeah, give them a ask.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're about that right age. They're all 50 to 60, around my age, or a little older, and I think they were probably in their 20s, probably university when that came out.
Yeah, that would be about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I watched it maybe 15 years ago, like way after it came out. I watched it later, and yeah, it's pretty good. One of the better ones, I'd say.
Yeah, I always kind of because a lot of Westerners love to use the word kensai,
Yeah.
or so it should be kenshi, but they like to say kensai, and they're always
Mhm.
use it as sword saint. You know, this saintly swordsman. It's not what it means at all. It means mercenary, really.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Um,
was just it was kind of a way of just saying mercenary without saying mercenary.
Right, and because they didn't have that word, that's their word. It
Right.
just means sell sword is probably the best translation. But they also were not really well respected in Japanese society. They're a real thing. They did exist,
Yeah.
but they weren't well respected because what happened was a lot of because there was so much battling between the various daimyos and stuff like that, or even before that with the kind of call them kings, I guess. But their lord would end up getting wiped out or arrested or demoted or something like that, and you had all of the bushi who worked for them, which some people call them samurai. They, have to go do something in their life. You would call them a ronin, but ronin are very. It's a very specific usage. Most of
Mhm.
them, if they went out in their life and continued making money off of their sword, they would be called a kenshi. And they weren't very respected members of society, actually. But it is funny because if you came over here, samurai is it's one of the words that most humans know, Japanese words that most people know. And go ask a Japanese person what's the difference between a samurai and a bushi. Ask them
Mhm.
because they won't be able to tell you.
Right.
They don't really know because the simple fact of the matter is all samurai are bushi, but not all bushi are samurai.
Right.
So
Yep.
what is the actual distinction? It's not easy. Anyway,
It's
that's
kind of like a good analogy for over here would be cowboys and like gunfighters. Because most people think, you think of cowboys, you think of cowboy movies, you think they're all gunfighters, right? They carry a gun and they're fighters and they draw and all that stuff, but that's just not true.
it's not,
Most
no.
gunfighters had nothing to do with cowboys. They weren't cowboys at all. They were just gunfighters. They go
Yeah,
around and take care of problems,
right,
one way or the other, usually criminally. But
right.
yeah, it's kind of the same idea. People just it's become a cultural norm to just see them as the same thing or as like equivalent. Um, and it's just not true. They're just not
No, it's
equivalent at
not.
all historically.
And just for those listening, bushi means soldier. It just means soldier. It's not,
Yeah.
nothing fancy. And a samurai is just a soldier too. And in my years here, because I have asked that question several times, I am a foreigner, right? I think the distinction is this: if a samurai is coming from a noble birth or a high birth, they will call them
Mhm.
samurai. Otherwise, they're bushi. I think that's it, and it
Right.
depends on the time period too, because you go back to before, when the everything you had to be a noble birth to be anything, but it didn't used to be that way, right? Back in those days, they probably didn't use the word samurai hardly at all. But if you go
Mm.
back to the original usage of the word, way back in the day when they had a whole bunch of, back, more than 1,000 years ago, back in Nara Jidai, they had a lot of trouble with mountain bandits in Japan at that time, because there was no unified government. And so smiths started working on a sword that would be good to be used by horseback, right? And this
Right.
is where the katana or the nihonto comes from, right? It's a horseman's sword, right?
Yep.
And that's where the word samurai started being used. So I guess in the original iteration, it meant horse-bound warrior.
Interesting. So
But
it's
it
like cavalry.
like a cavalry, yeah, or a
Yeah.
cavalier even.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
they're basically just they basically are just knights, right? Like in a
in
lot
a
of
way.
ways, they're very
Well,
similar, especially.
a knight that's code is a death cult, if that's
Yes.
a knight.
Yes, a fanatical knight. Put it that way. Um,
They're more
because
akin to a
again, people
paladin, I'd
the
say.
same thing would be the same thing would be knights are another great example. People don't know what knights are. They have this idea of what a knight is, but knights weren't most knights were nothing like what people think they were. They were
No,
basically just hired, they weren't good people, a lot of them. They were
no, they weren't.
bastards.
And another thing with that, because I need to go, but we're getting way off topic. Poor Grimlock. But the thing with that with the knights is also one of the reasons why they were so powerful and successful is because the armor they had, they could afford to buy.
Yeah.
It's hard to get killed wearing that armor, dude.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
had to basically be taken off of you before they could kill you.
it is. I mean, we could take old Grimlock here and put him in a suit of armor and throw him in the Middle Ages, and he would be very successful.
Yeah. Well, and it's because that's one of the reasons why they started
I like that.
developing, the war hammers and things,
No, no,
different
that was
types of.
the evolution
Yeah,
to deal with it. Yeah.
crappy
Anyway, I
armor.
do need to go on the image of Grimlock the Knight, Sir Grimlock.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like that.
I like it. Yeah.
That's a
Uh,
good name, actually. Sir
Sir
Grimlock. That's
Grimlock.
nice. That's
Yeah.
not bad.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like he's some kind of mutant monster, but it's okay.
Hey, that's fine. Mutant Monster Knight. Why not?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Grimlock, would you like to give a closing comment here before Thundera takes us out of here?
No, everybody enjoy your night. Have a good one.
Yeah. And glad to be back, and we'll see. I'm sure we'll get another Banhammer eventually, because
Because we're
it's
bad,
Thundera's
bad,
fault.
naughty boys. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
YouTube, I'm fine with it. It's okay. I am a big boy. I can take it.
Sure.
Chester, I'm going to leave you on a real simple one. It's about evil.
Mm,
Talking about evil a lot today. The heart of darkness is constant. Evil's face changes, never its nature.
namaste. Which I'm sure is cultural appropriation. Later.